Live. Welcome everybody to the first official Our Opinions podcast. Woohoo!
Yay!
And that's the sound of the podcast.
The last one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you can watch it. It's archived on YouTube and on Twitch. I don't know how long Twitch keeps them for, but it'll be there for a little while.
No, it doesn't exist.
We're gonna talk about The Last Jedi.
You can't find it anywhere. He's lying.
Yep, so normally we'd be playing a game together. Like we were playing Overwatch together yesterday, but his update for Battlefront 2 is actually still installing, and it will be for a little while. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and be playing this by myself, but he will join us at some point. And for everybody who didn't catch the last stream, my name is Brandon.
Oh, hi, I'm EJ. I didn't realize that was an audio cue. Whoopsie poopsie.
I hope somebody like thought their stream lagged and was like, "The fuck? Is it paused?" Fucking. What do I want to play? There's 3 game modes: Heroes and Villains. I liked Heroes and Villains from the first one.
That is almost exclusively what you played.
That is almost exclusively what I played. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'll do Heroes and Villains. Hero Starfighters. Most epic hero pilots dogfighting against each other? I'm not good at ships. Yeah, we're going to do heroes versus villains. Why not? But yeah, we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi while playing some Star Wars. Because that's not a hot debate topic at all.
Playing the last 2 most controversial Star Wars related products at once.
And just for anybody who might yell at us for supporting EA, I didn't. I mean, somebody obviously did along the chain to me getting the game, but I bought mine from GameStop pre-owned and also on a sale. So
I got mine
who doesn't know,
from EA Origins at full price. I got Legendary Edition. It was pretty dope.
So you did buy a new one then?
No, fuck no.
Or did? Okay, because the new one actually right now, even the Legendary. Okay, you also got a pre-owned. Cool. So yeah, technically none of us got. Neither of us got the. I'll be Captain Phasma. Neither of us got the game from EA. I feel like there was something I was going to say, but it's gone now.
That's your brain.
It's gone into the void. But anyway, we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi. EJ just got finished rewatching the movie, like literally like half an hour ago, if that. So he's got plenty of notes, so I'm going to let him basically run this because he's probably got a lot more.
I feel like if I take the lead
not more
on
to
this,
say,
though,
but like
it's going to take several hours regardless. But I mean like
yeah,
30 hours.
Well, it's going to take 30 hours anyway. You're just, like, because you have the notes, like, you have the main talking points that you want to go through. I don't have a list of anything to talk about. Like, obviously, like, in my head, there's probably points that I could go through, but, like, I don't have a starting point in mind. So, I don't know, if you pick a starting point, it might just, like, flow from there.
Well, I figure you just, like, start off chronologically, and we'll just keep hitting off on different tangents as soon as our brains go, like, oh, hey, there's a thing.
All right. Well, oh god, I have a night vision thing with Captain Phasma. That's fucking cool and hard to use. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. What is this? What did I do? I don't know what I'm doing. Also, prepare for a lot of this during the live stream. It's gonna feel a lot more like a let's play than it probably should, just because, like we said, we bought these games today. So
like, I don't think either of us have watched anything about these games, like any in-game footage or anything.
Not at all. So apologies to everybody who's listening to this as just audio, but hopefully that just makes this a little bit more entertaining since you can't see. And if you are listening to this in audio only, like on SoundCloud or something, we should still like post those to SoundCloud. Come on over to twitch.tv/ouropinions, and that's where we'll be streaming live every Thursday night. Would say at 9 p.m., but today we got off to a rocky start. Might be more consistent afterwards, but definitely Thursday nights.
I mean,
follow us and you'll get the notification.
It'll be Thursday, and like you said, get a notification. You'll be golden, pony boy.
Yep. All right, and something that I'm curious about is You said you had a revelation within like the
Oh
first
yeah, in the
minute of like
opening
starting up the
crawl?
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what that is.
Um. Okay, so the opening crawl had stated that the Republic was completely destroyed by the First Order, which of course we had witnessed in The Force Awakens with the advent of Starkiller Base blowing up. I forget the name of the planet, but it was a planet that was currently housing the Republic leadership because every few cycles they change where it's at to make sure the entirety of the Republic gets represented that way, rather than just having a hub on Coruscant. So that's unimportant. What is important is that the entirety of the Republic leadership had been destroyed, and the First Order swooped in, almost instantaneously subjugating the majority of the galaxy, because most people and star systems were like, well, screw that, I don't want to deal with it. So they just kind of bowed to a new order, as it's the fourth one in 60, 70 years. Can't really say I blame them. But the way it was worded is that the Resistance was holding out for the certainty that Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master, would restore the spark of hope to the galaxy. And that right there is just like, it echoed a desire that I heard from a lot of fans and people before The Last Jedi came out, that when Luke showed up, he was just going to be a badass and like solve a whole bunch of problems. And I felt like that parallel between the desire for Luke to solve people's problems, both within the movie and the Resistance, and externally with the fans, was a great little subtle setup to the entire state of The Last Jedi. Like, it
That is really neat.
sets
And like
the audience into the shoes of Resistance nobody.
very much so, and it's like Rian Johnson was very aware that his decision to do what he did with Luke would not be a popular one amongst more hardcore fans, if I could say it that way.
You're right,
because
he was
like
completely aware.
everybody knows Luke, or everybody knows that Mark Hamill was very opposed to it as well, and that's actually the best case scenario for Rian Johnson because he got to hear all these things from the guy playing the part, and so he was able to not really counter those ideas. I mean, sort of, yes, but he got that feedback while he was making the movie, so he could adjust for it and prepare for it, I guess. At least give some meaningful commentary about it.
And it's something he was so aware of that even in the script when Rey first meets Luke, he's just like, wait, you think I was just going to show up with a magic laser sword and face the whole First Order? Like, in the writing of the script, he knew exactly how people were going to, like, feel about the direction he was taking it, and he still took it there anyway.
Yeah, it's honestly why I'm super excited to see his what he can do with a blank slate on Star Wars, because knowing that his values when making movies fall more on the art side of things than the make fans happy side, it just makes me super excited, because like, you know, you're going to get a quality product from him no matter what it turns out to be.
Absolutely. I know I've talked about it personally between the two of us, but that's one of my favorite things in Star Wars, is just that it's this enormous sandbox that everybody gets to play in. There are countless RPG books for people to make their own D&D style RPG games. It's that everybody gets a turn in the sandbox to make Star Wars what it is to them and show that to the world. And like, that's partially why I feel this franchise is such a beautiful thing.
And why it's an ugly thing, because most people, I guess, or not most people, I shouldn't say that, a very loud subset of people very wholeheartedly do not see it that way.
That's true, but you always have that one kid who shits in the sandbox.
You always do. You're never going to make everybody happy, and I really hate negativity bias. I mean, it's probably a good thing that it's an instinct that we have, because it's probably saved our butts numerous times in, like, the past, like, just historically, to have a negativity bias, but, like, helps us stay away from things that, you know, aren't good for us. But it fucking sucks when it just comes to opinionated things, because all of the negative responses of the movie, like, totally not the majority. They can say it is all they want. It's not. It's a pretty clear consensus that most people enjoyed it or if they didn't enjoy it, they were like, whatever.
I think
What's
it
going
falls pretty equally into people who just enjoyed the ride, people who didn't like the direction where it went but still liked the movie, people who did like the direction where it went and liked the movie, the super fans and the super haters. Like, I feel like those 5 subsets are pretty equally distributed, even though some are way louder than others.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at, was like, I really wish that negativity bias didn't exist, just because then there would be no debate or discussion like, oh, most people actually hated it, or, oh, it's 50-50. It's like, no, it's probably more like 75-25 at the most, just because negativity bias means negative things stick with us twice as much as good things do. So
Yeah.
there's probably like 25% of people either didn't like it or detested it at the most. I think that's a safe ratio to say.
I'd assume so. I mean, it's not like we're gonna go out and interview every individual schmuck, but...
Fuck, there goes my weekend. Well, I have an open weekend now. Damn it, I was gonna go do that.
You legitimately concerned me for a second. I was just like, oh my god, did I ruin your plans?
God, I'm not that social. What if that was like the entire point? What if that was the entire point of my OkCupid profile, was to just ask random women what they thought of The Last Jedi?
Oh my god, can we do that? Can we just make a brand new profile for you where you're just decked out in Star Wars merch?
I think that we've already done that. I think that's something we've already done.
Oh lord.
All right. But did you have anything else that came to you during the opening crawl, or was it mainly that?
I mean, no, that was the only, like, revelation that I had said to you. I mean, the rest, like, just kind of what the opening crawl is there for, setting the scene and building the universe.
Mm-hmm. Like, I actually, like... I'm also... Would you mind if I talked about some of the stuff that was on the extras in the Blu-ray? Because I know you didn't get to see the extras. I don't think they put those up on Netflix. But like, they provide some really interesting context to how like just the movie was structured, including like the opening scene.
Absolutely. I mean, it's part of the film. Let's hash it out.
Yeah, like the original opening for the movie was actually supposed to be like, it started where it looked like you were looking at a planet, like it panned down to what looked like a planet, but then it as you pan down further, you see Finn inside of the Healy tube. So it was like a bait and switch where it's like, oh, it's totally a planet. Oh wait, it's Finn. Oh geez, hang on one quick. Ow, I'm dead. And
really got into
then it basically just played from
there, didn't you?
Yep, yeah, we did. But it basically, it played out from there similarly to how it played out in the actual movie, except Finn explicitly states that he's just in this for Rey and doesn't care about the Resistance at all. That's really the only difference. And that was going to be the original opening, but then he switched it out for the bombing run scene just because it made it more cohesive. And I really like that choice. It really does. It really is a more cohesive opening. And plus, it's kind of... It brings you into the movie better than, I think, throwing you back in with Finn. It might just be because I like big space opening scenes from a Star Wars movies, but I do.
That's true, but I mean, like, it is immediate action that, like, grips you, and Poe's just incredibly charismatic. Like...
Oh, yeah.
It just... Whether or not you think it belongs in a Star Wars movie, you cannot deny that, like, that was an enjoyable scene. If it was in like a fucking gangster movie with the dude in a car fucking calling up a police officer or some shit, people would have loved it, but
yeah,
some people didn't, because
that's a good...
Star Wars isn't fun.
What about a scruffy looking nerf herder? What about that?
Scruffy looking.
But yeah, like, I really, really enjoyed all of the comedy in this movie. I think all of the jokes hit perfectly. you can disagree. People just have different senses of humor. And like you said, some people don't want to laugh with their Star Wars, or they want Star Wars to be 100% serious 100% of the time. Not a feeling that I share. But,
I know, I agree.
You know.
Like, I watched those movies. I liked them when I was a baby Babu, but then, you know, I got older and I watched episode 2 and I'm like, wow. Wow.
And like, I don't know if anybody's like talked about this, but the fucking sick Tokyo drift that Poe does in the beginning, like, holy fuck, I absolutely love that. It's so fucking cool. But to be fair, if there's anything that anybody can legitimately point to that's like, what the fuck about that? It's the Tokyo drift, and nobody's pointed it out.
Fucking Tokyo drifting in space. He doesn't have stabilizers in the nose of his fucking X-wing because it's meant to be a semi-atmospheric fighter, so it doesn't have like nose-mounted like compression engines to shoot the fuck to, and he just drifts around in a perfect circle. And that movie immediately like
so
bit
fucking
me,
awesome.
And I was like, that was awesome to watch, but ooh, the nerd rage.
And like just, I guess this is the perfect time then to talk about the science of The Last Jedi and how it doesn't fucking matter at all.
I mean, that's true, but at the same time, it does and doesn't. Like, it tries very hard to adhere to its own rules that it pre-establishes, but then, like, sometimes it does normal science, and we're like, okay, well, I guess normal science applies here. And then it's like, hey, you know that normal science we set up? Yeah, fuck that. Like, Star Wars has always been super iffy on things like that.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I get, again, it's gonna come down to like personal preference. If that's what breaks the immersion for you, then I'm sorry. It did not break the immersion for me, and I had no problems with any of the scientifical things that happened in the movie.
But I mean, Mr. Tyson is entitled to his opinion too.
Mr. Tyson is.
Is it professor? Is it doctor? I'm pretty sure it'd be a doctor, right? He has a PhD.
Yeah, I think it's Dr. Tyson. He could be a professor if he wanted, I bet.
I just thought he taught so.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably...
I mean,
he's probably a professor. He's probably a professor, too.
He could be anything, man. He can sell me Oreos.
He could be a comedian, truly, honestly.
Yeah, he could just... Oh my god. Alright, no, I'm not gonna get off on that tangent.
About how Neil deGrasse Tyson is hilarious.
Yeah, about how you can be a comedian doing a science roadshow with fucking Ninja Brian and his wife, and just the three of them do science jokes. And like, sell me Oreos.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Not sponsored by Oreos, but could be if Oreos really wanted to.
Oh my god, Oreo did this, like, one of their flavors of the month was this is why I didn't want to get off on this. But their flavor of the month was
it's fine. Like
cherry soda, and they put like little pop rocks in it to like simulate the carbonation, and that shit blew my mind.
Really?
It was so weird, dude.
Huh.
Like, you lick off the icing, and then you just like be like, all right, well, this tastes like cherry, like cherry syrup, and then you start to feel like the little popping. You're like, what is that? What is happening in my mouth? Because you couldn't feel the pop rocks because they were in the icing. And it would just keep happening. It was just like, oh my god, it was so weird. It was such an odd texture.
I haven't had Pop Rocks in forever, and I never liked them. Never a thing that I liked.
I mean, I do suppose you have to be a special kind of weird to enjoy shoving firecrackers in your mouth.
Pretty much. But, you know, I don't mind getting off on small tangents like that, because I do want this to feel more natural than anything else, and we totally do that every single fucking time we talk about something, so
that's
whatever.
True, but I mean, like, I legit could have spent the next hour and a half talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson selling me Pop Rock candy.
Yeah, like, I'm actually, like, I'm also in the middle. I say I'm in the middle. I'm in the beginning of actually writing a Star Wars Last Jedi review for a website that is not public yet. I'll only make it public if I actually finish some of the shit, because then I'm gonna actually pay for a domain name. And You know, just update the site, write reviews for whatever the fuck I feel like, games, movies, anything. And I'm writing it, and like I started with the negatives. I didn't go chronologically or anything, but I started with like the negative complaints that I had about it, because like I wanted to end on the positives, and I wanted to like set that as like something I would just do for anything that I reviewed.
I do like that, because then it sets like a note of hopefulness and enjoyment at the end of it.
Yeah, because even I always like, if I don't enjoy a movie, that's a really bad thing. Like, because even if it's a bad movie, like I watched, I think Miss Peregrine's Home for Unusual Children or something like that. I think that's the name. I don't think it's a great movie. Tim Burton, he lost a touch a while ago, I guess. So I've heard, and that movie definitely was like, yeah, it's not the greatest movie, but I had a good time watching it. And like I can't think of too many movies where I had a bad time watching it. I had a fun time at the Minions movie because it was stupid. No way is that a good movie, but it was an enjoyable experience. And so that's why I'd always want to end on the positive stuff. That way, even if like I think the movie or whatever I'm talking about is, you know, overall not good, or not as good as it could be, I always like to end on the positive note, because I always do want to make sure that everybody knows that I had an enjoyable experience with whatever I was talking about.
Plus, ending on a positive and hopeful note mirrors the movie at hand.
Oh shit!
Back on top there. Whoop, whoop.
Ooh, I'm on the other team now. I can't be Luke fucking Sky. I'm gonna flip around as Yoda.
You don't want to be Luke oh, wow, just Yoda.
I can't. Yeah.
Oh, okay. For a second, I saw Leia's face right next to Han. I'm like, wow, young Han looks awful. I didn't realize it was Miss.
Wait, why is everybody? Oh. Why is everybody? What? Weird. Oh, I think it's because they're. That doesn't look like Leia at all. I want to be Luke. Ah, I got Luke. You know what? That actually does. It looks more like Mark Hamill than the previous game. I'll give them credit. They finally found a way to make him look like Mark Hamill.
You know, I only had 40 years.
Fuck. I don't think there was much to talk about besides like that opening part, you know, because you got the comedy. A little note that's actually funny from like the bonus features of the disc was that when you see Hux fucking face plant into the floor when Supreme Leader Snoke uses his force powers on him to like move him across the floor, they used a stunt double for him, obviously. But like the stunt double actually smacks his face on the floor right there, and he broke his nose during that take. And it's a take they used for the movie, and it's just, I think that's great. I mean, I feel bad for like the stunt guy, but like A, he knew what he was getting into when he became a stunt guy, and B, it's just so perfectly Hux.
I don't know.
Like Hux is a great character.
I don't know if they added in the sounds afterwards or if they used the sound from the impact, but when his face hits the floor, I heard like a crunchy smack.
Yeah, it really could be that they just left the regular sound in there.
Like it sounded.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Especially after you told me how he broke his nose, it sounded a little nauseating.
So there was that. What happens? Like there's not much to talk about after like that huge opening bomber scene, and then you know the next contentious part about it.
There were a couple little cute things I noticed during the bombing scene, which outside of Poe referring to General Hux as General Hugs, which I just absolutely adore. They wrote things on the bombs like you would in World War II, which I found was like a really cool homage to the film that I cannot name that George Lucas based the bombing run on the Death Star to. It's like it pulled it back to that World War II era where instead of you're bombing a Nazi Dan, you're...
Oh fuck!
I
I'm
got
sorry that I went silent. I
two
just
into
noticed.
speaking, and I forgot that controllers need to be moved to be kept on.
Yes, very much. I'm glad that you were silent for a reason, because I was silent because I was in a heated lightsaber battle with Kylo Ren, and I completely blocked out everything that was going on that wasn't that.
Yeah, no, you seemed very focused.
I assume you have the stream up and running, that way you can, like, watch, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so the opening scene was just a nice homage to what Lucas based the Death Star run off of. And they even wrote messages on the bombs they were dropping into the Dreadnought, like old bombshells where the soldiers would paint, like, "Here's to you, Hitler," or whatever on their bombs. And I found that was really cool. I couldn't tell what any of them said because I didn't stop to look at them. It was just something I noticed, and I really liked it.
That's really cool. I did not notice that there were. I mean, I thought there were, like, numbers written on it, or like, because I think I did notice that they had, like, text on them, but I thought I just wrote it off as like, oh, they're just like bomb numbers or like marker numbers. That way they, whatever company made them could keep track of, what bombs were made, who were sold to what.
And there was something that occurred to me about the whole, like, oh, Poe fucks up and gets everybody killed thing, and he absolutely fucks up and gets everybody killed. As far as the Resistance knew, all he had to do was get his ass back on the ship so they could jump to light speed. And things would have been fine.
Yeah.
Of course, after viewing the movie, you know that they can track, and the Dreadnought arguably would have had cannons capable of penetrating the rear deflector shields of the cruiser. So, I mean, I guess Poe also did a good, but that undercuts the message of the story.
I mean, well, he did a good to a point, and, like, right before, right after that, after Leia demotes him, he immediately goes, permission to go jump in a fighter and blow something up, and she says, permission granted. So it was about to be like, all right, got permission to blow shit up this time. And then his shit got blown up.
Yeah. That's kind of where it just slaps the proverbial dong in his face.
Can I just talk for a second about how amazing Kylo Ren is as a character? Like, I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but, like, holy fuck, is he... I think he's the best character to ever be written into Star Wars, and probably one of the best characters to be written into movies, because he's so deep and complex, and just so interesting to watch. And one moment that really got me, both in theaters and at home, was when he was really pissed off at Snoke, which I want to talk about that scene in particular, too, because that was also a very much moment where Ryan confronted the fans' expectations again, successfully, and explain, and I guess set it up to be knocked down. But he's really pissed off that Snoke is still not pleased with him, really only thinks of him as a child, and he's like, I'll fucking show you, child. Get me my fucking TIE fighter! I'm gonna go blow some shit up! And he starts to go in, and he's fucking just wrecking shit, really getting all his anger out, blowing everything up that he can, and then he gets to point his guns at, like, the cockpit of Leia's ship, and that's when he senses her, and he knows that she's in the cockpit, and she senses him, and I think there's a second where he realizes that she senses him, and his finger is just hovering right over the trigger for his torpedoes, and there's a second where, like, the memory of him killing his father is just running through his head, and he's really trying his best to fight those feelings of connection toward his family, and he can't bring himself to kill his mother. And that was just a really powerful moment to me, when he couldn't do that. Like, he could kill his father, and it tore him to pieces to kill his father, and even after being torn to pieces, he still couldn't kill his mother. And then just to have those random fighters come in and do it anyway,
it was
a really, really
like,
good.
I don't give a shit about your mom.
Yeah. Like, it was such a really well shot and well written moment. It was so good. Really, really good character moment for both Leia and Ben.
It really does. It humanized him in the perfect way that the movie needed to make you believe that either one of them could kind of give in to the other, you know? Between Rey and Ben, they were both essentially fighting a battle for the other one's soul. And it was framed in such a way where, of course, you want Ben to come back to the light and you want Rey to succeed in bringing him. But the way it's presented and everything in between makes it so you're not sure who's going to win.
Yeah. And that comes from how Ryan actually viewed both Kylo Ren and Rey. He said that he viewed them less... Well, he viewed them as their own characters, obviously, but the way he wanted them to interact was like they were two halves of the same whole, just opposite sides. And so their dynamic is something that he was overjoyed to play with. And I think he did amazing things with it.
It really does make me believe that they're just like essentially each one half of the same character. Like Ben is the disciplined and turbulent emotion, like being good on the inside with wanting to be bad so much, and where Rey is very much she's undisciplined, she's completely ruled by her feelings, and she just wants to be the best Jedi hero out there. And they're each like the different sides of the same coin. It really hit me again, especially after seeing Rey go up into the temple on Octo and having Luke describe to her the folly of the Jedi, quote unquote, in that room with the little mosaic. So on that mosaic was what many people, including myself, believe to be like the Gray Jedi, which is essentially the Jedi Order and the first Force users who sat in the middle between light and dark, you know, bringing balance between both, rather than being a purely light side Jedi or a dark side Sith. And that mosaic was a single figure split down the middle by a lightsaber, in light robes on one side and dark robes on the other. And in the rest of that circle was darkness befalling them on the light robed side and light shining on the dark robed side, with a small amount of darkness in that light and a small amount of light in the other side's darkness. And I feel like that really is just a dichotomy and driving force between the whole movie and kind of what Rian Johnson seemed to view the franchise. That they really shouldn't be separate halves, but really what they've been taught to be this whole time, which is one whole.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Then again, you are more knowledgeable about Jedi lore than I am, so I probably wouldn't have even put that together. Like, if I had a good time to look at it, I could probably get some similar interpretation out, just because of the very clear light and dark side opposing things and the mixing of it all. But like, just because you have that extra bit of context, it makes it that much easier for you to interpret it the way you did.
That, and I did watch it like an hour ago.
Yeah, very true. I mean, to be fair though, if you're taking notes, like, you can remember things because writing works.
Yeah, it does.
Writing definitely works.
That'll get you a job at Parker Bros or something. I don't know.
Monopoly. Kill your friends. Oh boy, is this? Oh my God, it's a Gatling gun.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Oh, you're using your heavy ability. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is just going.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Okay. I wasn't prepared for a Gatling gun. I didn't end up using that ability because I thought it was a mounted turret.
Yeah, I assumed that at first in arcade as well.
What is this game? I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with this game mode. Is this just deploying again, or is it like, is it a one death, one thing scenario? One life, one life to live?
Oh,
What's
like
going
an
on with this game
elimination
mode?
type mode?
Yeah, I have no clue. I have to assume that's what it is. It doesn't seem super
Well,
crazy.
in that case, don't stand out in the open with your Gatling gun. Stand slightly behind cover with your Gatling gun. Gatling gun. Jeezums. Cheesy Pete's.
Oh shit.
And watching the movie again really made me realize, like, how incredibly ruthlessly efficient the First Order is, as long as Hux and Ben aren't doing anything. Like, Hux is pretty much a complete tool, and Kylo Ren is too much into the whole, like, dark side, grr, I'm angry, do all the bad things to this one person to leave everything else open. But the rest of the First Order outside of them is, like, clinically efficient.
They have our files.
Yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like, yeah. Because everywhere that those guys weren't, everybody was just like, well, I guess the First Order is going to be in charge now. What's for breakfast?
Right? Like, they had the Knights of Ren out there doing whatever the fuck the Knights of Ren were doing. And, General, Colonel, Captain Kennedy, Condoleezza Rice. Whoever the fuck was manning that dreadnought was like, as soon as he was able to command, shit started going really smoothly for the dreadnought. But because Hux had dropped the ball at the beginning, things went poorly. And whenever Hux wasn't yelling an order, things were going really swell for the First Order. This is like outside the movie, but it's in the new canon that the First Order was built the way that it was specifically to avoid the corruption of the Empire and like the nepotism, and also to be built without the use of Force users. Like, they didn't want anybody fucking with the Force. They just wanted it to be people, humans specifically, and that's it. They were just gonna rule the galaxy without fucking with the Force, because it always goes bad. Which has raised a lot of questions as a Snoke, but I don't give a shit about that. And Hux only got his job because his papa was like the Supreme Admiral or something before he died. And Phasma killed him, and so Hux took his job, and that's how he got where he is. And if it wasn't for dear old Papa giving him the job, Hux wouldn't be there, and it would quite likely be someone who's actually capable of doing something.
I really like the actor that they chose to play Hux, because he's so believable in the role of like. He's so perfect for it, because he brings that extra level of depth where he's like, he knows he's not cut out for the job, but he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna be confident about what I do anyway. Because it's like, you can see that perfectly when it's like, Hux, we have a call coming in for you from Snoke, and like his lip quivers a bit, like, fuck, and he's just like, very well, I'll take this in my quarters. Then it's like, nope, I'm gonna humiliate you in front of all of your officers.
Supreme Leader. Good.
It's like, yeah, just the good. Just the like, good is not the word I'd love to say right now, but, oh fuck.
It's the only word that can cover up the sound of the dookie in his pants. But yeah, he's so good at appearing like calm and collected and reveling in his power when the opportunity presents itself, but then he's so quick to just shrivel at complications. And so it really is like, perfect to just accentuate that weaselly underbelly that they were trying to portray with him. And the actor does a phenomenal job.
Absolutely. He's one of my favorite things about this new series. Like, I have a lot of favorite things about this new series, and he's definitely one of them. Yeah, like, I love at the end when, like, he he would have killed Kylo Ren if he didn't wake up at that specific moment.
Oh, that was such a good just tone setter for how the rest of their relationship is gonna go without Snoke. Like between between that and then when they're on the dropship after after the failed Walker assault on Luke, when Ben was just like, I'll go down there and I'll deal with it myself. Don't advance until I've taken care of it. And Hux is like, you're an idiot. We're not doing that. We're walking with the walkers and we're destroying the resistance. And Kylo Ren just casually throws his hand back and Hux flies across the ship and into the wall. It was a funny moment. It was great, but it also sets the tone that they're going to try to kill each other, or at the very least abuse the shit out of each other at every presented opportunity.
Yeah, wasn't that there at some point at the very end where Kylo Ren yelled fire something, or blow them up or something, and then Hux immediately comes in and gives the same order, and then Kylo Ren just kind of looks over at him like, the fuck do you think you're doing?
That are you really that small?
It's I don't know if it's a testament to Rian Johnson's directing, his the script writing, or just how well those actors know their roles and just play off of each other.
Oh my god, if that was ad-libbed, that would have been beautiful.
That would, so beautiful. Adam Driver is really good.
Yeah. And then further on after Ben backhands Hux into the wall, and he says, set the ship down, the officer who's flying the shuttle he doesn't even look up. He's just like, very well, sir, and just starts setting the ship down. He doesn't bat an eye. He doesn't flinch. He's just like, these two idiots are going to do what they do, and I'm going to do my job right.
Pretty much. He's just like, well, another day working for the First Order. It's all good here. Just normal Tuesday.
Oh, this movie is so good at setting tones. I love it.
It really was. Fucking battle droid, die!
Yeah,
Jeez.
he just keeps running around that same little bit of metal.
I hate it.
Oh god, I don't even remember what I was gonna say now. That just totally grabbed me.
That battle droid. Whoa, did he just do a barrel roll? What the fuck?
Oh yeah,
Ow.
I was gonna say that I feel really bad about belating this movie and only talking about all the awesome things that I feel like I have to nitpick something else, but the only thing I can go back to is Tokyo drifting in space.
Well, all right, I'll give you something to chew on then, because it was leading up to it. But the Leia scene, I don't know, that was a very big, pointed out scene. I don't have too many problems with it. I was very unsure of how I felt in the theater the first time that I saw it. When I saw it at first, I was like, "What?" And I was worried. I actually got worried at that point. I'm like, "Is this movie gonna suck?" But it didn't. And upon repeat viewings, it has gotten less objective in my mind, and objective being objection, get that fucking shit out of here, that kind of court way, lawyer speak, I guess. Objectionable, that's the word. Objectionable.
Okay.
That's the word. I knew there was a word for it, I couldn't remember it. It has gotten less objectionable in my mind, and at first I thought the reason for it might have been because Leia used the Force in a way that I didn't agree with. And that was probably the knee-jerk reaction, but after getting past that, I'm like, no, there's still something off about that part that has nothing to do with how she uses the Force, because that makes sense. And what I realized that it was it was a mixture of the way it was shot and edited, plus the unfortunate news that Carrie Fisher died after filming that movie. So there was unfortunate, like, that news was unavoidable. Like, whether you were trying to, stay to avoid spoilers about the movie or not, you heard that Carrie Fisher had died, and there was no avoiding it.
To get away from.
Yeah, and so I'm sure that most people expected her character of Leia to die in this movie at some point. Because, at least in my mind, the two options that they had, or the couple options that they had, were to either kill her off, admirably in this movie, in either, like, a reshoot or an edit or something, or an alternate cut where they, like, rewrote something to have her character die. Or they would have to do it at some point in the next movie. And in the next movie, they obviously can't, film her for her death scene, because she's actually dead in real life. So the only way they can do it is if they do it in the opening crawl of the next movie. If they open it up and she dies off screen and it's just mentioned that she was in something that got blown up, or in an area that took heavy damage or something. Or if they recreate her with CG in one way or another to have her on screen for just like a few seconds and then have her character die that way. And, none of those options where, you do it in the next movie, at least not for me, sounded like an amazing choice. So I'm sure, like, most people expected her to die in this one. So at that point in the scene, when you see her be sucked out into space after that cockpit was blown up, I was just already like, well, that's how her character dies. Wow. And not even like, wow as in wow, that sucked. Just wow, I'm just like, that's really it. That's it for her. And then it turns into a gotcha moment where, psych, she's still alive. And I'm sure that scene was written that way beforehand. And if Carrie Fisher hadn't have passed away when she did, like, that scene wouldn't have been as objectionable as I'm sure it is to so many people, because it wouldn't have actually fooled us the way that it had. Because instead of thinking, well, that's how her character dies, it's, oh, no, they wouldn't actually kill off Leia, would they? And then when she saves herself, most people would be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Instead of, wait, what? Because then the immediate thought going through my mind was, well, how is she going to die? But, because I was still expecting her to die in the movie.
I'm sorry, it's a horrible
at
thing
some
to laugh
point.
at, but it just immediately brought to my mind the one thought ringing through my head the entirety of the movie. Well, how's Luke gonna die? And,
all right, yeah. So you want to go ahead and tell that story?
yeah. All right. So the last two movies, I think I've been staying pretty spoiler free. I'm gonna do the same for the next one coming up. I managed to avoid literally every piece of news about The Last Jedi, every casting call, every fan meet, like all the like crew and everything like that, any promotional material. Like, I didn't even see a poster until like maybe a week before, and I think about 3-4 days.
I saw it the night of.
Yeah, 3-4 days before I saw it, you were like, oh yeah, we're the sweet for Mark Hamill. Like, you were doing really good about not spoiling things for me, like you usually do. And you're just like, oh, I saw this tweet from Mark Hamill. You seem super happy to not have to contractually keep his hair that long. And I'm just like,
well, no. It was actually, I was scrolling through Facebook at the time because I still had Facebook.
Oh, it was Facebook?
At that point, yeah. I was just scrolling through Facebook, and the cast of The Last Jedi had like dressed up real nice suits. I think everybody was just in a really nice suit. And they were in like a really well lit room, and it was just like really nice professional photography. And in the movie, because Luke has really long hair in the movie, Mark Hamill in these pictures was very well groomed. It didn't have the long hair, and I think he like trimmed his beard as well. And so I said, I was like, huh, oh yeah, Mark Hamill doesn't have to be contractually obligated to keep his hair that long anymore. And immediately after I said that, my butthole tensed up. I was like, fuck!
And that's the thing too. You said contractually obligated, so I'm just like, could have spent the
I
whole
bet you-
movie looking at every Luke scene, just trying to put together a theory as to how he's gonna fucking kick it.
I bet you, like, if we were actually, like, together in person and I had just shown you the picture, I bet you would have been like, yeah, he looks really dapper in that photo, and wouldn't have thought anything about it.
Probably. You're probably entirely right. Down to the use of the word dapper.
Yeah, that's what happened. So, like, luckily, I didn't, like, focus on it. Like, we just, like, moved on to another topic of conversation
Wait, hold
almost
on. Did we
immediately.
say the spoiler warning thing?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
You did.
cool.
You started off with
All
that.
right, I did not remember whether or not I had.
Also, like, to be fair, like, this stream is called Discussing The Last Jedi, and it's also been, like, 7 or 8 months since it has come out. So if people are going into this thinking, oh, I'm not going to get spoilers, then
That's that's
dumb.
true. I'm just saying that, like, I have very strong feelings about spoilers, so I'd try to limit that as much as I can.
I mean, it's admirable. I'm sure that there's people... Actually, Daniel Avedon is a perfect example of somebody who shouldn't be spoiled to the 7th book of Harry Potter, Aaron. Or, like... I fucking love that moment. Yeah, we're like, Dumbledore dies. It's like, Dan's like, I didn't know that. I hadn't gotten to that movie yet. And Aaron's like, I'm messing around with you. And Dan's like, I don't believe you.
You were too confident.
Because, like, weren't they talking about spoilers? And
Yeah.
Aaron goofed about it. And Dan's like, you actually
They
just
were-
spoiled something for me,
They were
Aaron.
doing a bit about, like, a dog or something. No, it was an owl, the spoiler owl in Ocarina of Time or something.
Oh, the spoiler owl. Oh, I love spoiler owl.
It's a sled! Like, that's why I chose a movie from the 50s, Aaron.
You see, I'm so glad I didn't end up doing exactly what Aaron did, which is really try hard and care so much that you believed that I was lying.
Yeah, you just kind of dropped it, and that was the best thing you could have done.
Yeah, because it's like, well, if I really, like, stick on this, it's only going to make it worse. So, fuck it. Fuck it, we're playing Overwatch, let's complain about that.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll touch on Luke's death later, but back to the passing of Carrie Fisher. Like, I very much was the same way, but at a different point to the movie. I didn't view that as in the same way. I just kind of forgot everything around it at the moment and just had a knee-jerk reaction of, oh my god, of course she can use the Force. How could I have been so stupid as to not believe that? And I was more impressed with the ability, with seeing the Force as more of a construct of imagination than I've seen in anything. Something that I always believed it should be. Like, I always thought of the Force more as like this magical energy that can do anything that you could perceive it capable of doing. And whether or not that's true, I don't care. That's just always what it's been to me. And if that's not how it's used, it's not how it's used. But so I immediately just got enraptured by the fact that she was able to space ghost her way out back onto the bridge, and I was completely captivated by it. What I thought was going to happen is when Admiral Holdo sends everybody off on the last escape pod, that especially after Leia said that she's seen too many people like pass and die, and that she couldn't take it anymore, I thought she was going to switch with Holdo, and that she was going to man the cruiser. That's what I thought, and I thought that also would have it would have been a very impactful send-off, especially if she was then the one to destroy Snoke's flagship.
But, like, I think even you made this argument, and, like, most everybody that I've heard of has made this argument as well, where it's like, you have to have the scene with Luke and Leia. You can't let her die before
exactly.
they get that reunion.
That's also something I believe. Like, if we didn't see that line, like that reunion on screen, I don't think we ever would have really gotten closure to their story. Like even with Han, when the Falcon lands and Chewie busts down the door and Luke's like, Chewie, how did you guys get here? The Falcon. Where's Han? And like right there, you immediately feel like you understand the gravity and the weight that hit him of not knowing that his best friend is gone, you know? And so to not see that his sister is gone, that they didn't get to see each other one last time, I don't know how I would have like processed that. Which is a weird thing to say.
I don't know how he would have processed that.
But, like, damn.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's fair though. Like, especially if you're just as connected to Luke as probably everybody who's pissed off about Luke.
Exactly, because we're all Luke. We were all supposed to be Luke. Everybody gets a little piece of Luke.
Moving with the package. Secure.
Mine's his left pinky toe.
Package dropped.
And then you just get that touching line with... They start up with the whole, I know what you're going to say, I changed my hair, and that immediately cuts through the tension of the reunion, and it sets the tone, and Han's gone, but no one's ever truly gone, and then it's especially impactful because of the loss of Carrie Fisher, and it's just a beautiful moment, and if we didn't get that, even if it means that we have to send off Leia in an unceremonious way, it feels more beautiful that we get to memorialize her with that scene.
Oh, absolutely. And more information from the bonus disc on the Blu-ray.
I'm sorry, I'm starting to choke up a little bit.
Let's take
No, it's a very one of my favorite scenes, like my favorite scene from The Force Awakens is when Finn gets hurt, like Kylo Ren slashes him upside the back with his lightsaber, and Luke's lightsaber goes flying into the snow, and it gets stuck in the snow. And Kylo Ren immediately goes over to try and grab it out of the snow using his Force powers, and it wiggles a little bit, and then it flies to him, but it flies right past him and into Rey's hand, and just she looks so surprised, like she wasn't even expecting that to happen. And then she just turns it on, and the Force theme is just blasting, and that scene makes me cry every single time I watch that movie. There's at least 3 scenes in The Last Jedi that do the same thing to me every single time, and that is certainly one of them.
So speaking of that, like that perfect musical cue, like the Force theme, that always gets my jimmies rustled. Like that does it every time. But earlier when you were talking about that connection between Ben and Leia, when he pulls his thumb away from the torpedo button or whatever he was going to fire, it plays Leia's theme, and you feel it, that connection between mother and son once more, and it's just like, it's so beautiful right before Captain and Squatty Bumblefuck blow everything to hell. But for just that brief moment, you believe that connection's there. Oh.
Yeah, like, John Williams is the fucking man.
Oh my god, I was watching the Force Awakens bonus disc, and hearing him talk about how he composes it, he just, I don't know if he does it with the script or whatever. Like, I know he talks to the director and he's like, all right, this is kind of what we're looking for in this scene, but then he's like, all right, well, what do these characters feel together? And then he takes the bits from each character's theme, and then like the theme of the world, and then he mixes in the emotions of the environment, and it's like he is literally portraying their emotions through music at that given period of time, making it so that no one point in the movie is any piece of music ever truly repeated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
And like the Octo theme is just, it's my favorite theme from the movie.
Oh, with that green titty milk? Mm.
well, but don't get overconfident.
But yeah, like the actual problem that I still have with the Leia scene is because it was played as a gotcha moment. but it wasn't played as like the right kind of gotcha moment, because there's plenty of those moments in this movie. But the reason why I don't think that one works quite right is, like I said, partially because Carrie Fisher died, and that sucks. But beyond that, the like couple seconds where they just show Leia seemingly unconscious floating in space is unnecessary, and seeing her wake up is like, that's unnecessary. What they should have done, in my opinion, was just show her, like, you show the explosion, like, that's perfectly fine, see the debris in space, but then like show us the perspective that, you know, everybody on the deck sees, which is just the debris outside. You see their reactions on the inside, and it's like, oh no, Leia, and like you can hear them like, oh man, is Leia dead? Is she dead? And then just show a silhouette of her against maybe the sun, a star, or something, and then show the scene that they have where she's force pulling her way back to the ship, and then just keep going from there. I think that would have been a much less objectionable scene. But because they really played it up and was like, yep, she's totally unconscious, she's totally dead, wait, she's not, that's really what gets me about it. It's an unnecessary extra point that doesn't need to be there in a movie where that isn't even the most important or really best gotcha moment, you know?
Well, that's not fair, judging it against the best gotcha moment, alright? That's
fair,
a low blow.
Fair. I mean, that is one thing I do want to, like...
Technically it is fair, but it's not fair.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, like, just touching on that really quick, because we're gonna talk about that more at some point. This movie somehow, like, I completely forgot about this upon, like, leading up to going to see it, like, because I had very few expectations, if any, going into the movie, like I said. So I didn't know what was going to happen, didn't have any idea of what was going to happen, didn't have any want which way or the other that, you know, which way it was going to go. I didn't, you know, have any particular way I wanted it to go, but, like, I completely forgot that, like, the middle movie in the original was the one where you learn that the Darth Vader is the dad. Like, that was the biggest reveal probably of all movies at that point, and probably still is. And I'm sure that so many people, like, had that same expectation for this one, like, what's going to be the big reveal of this franchise? And everybody was expecting it to be who Rey's parents are. But luckily, it wasn't. I mean, it was part of it, and it was definitely one of them, but that was probably the third out of all 4 gotcha moments in the movie, in my rankings. The second one was the Snoke thing, and the top one was fucking Luke's amazing fucking projection. That was awesome.
Oh, it was so dope. Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good. It was so good.
This movie somehow managed to pull off making something yeah, it had many reveals, but, like, it managed to fucking not avoid or dodge expectations, but, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Subvert. That's the word.
Hey,
yes.
you got it.
It subverted it subverted everybody's expectations in probably just as big a way as Episode 5 did back when that movie released. And that is an impressive feat. That is really impressive.
I mean, much in the same way, you good?
Look at the stream. So,
Okay.
there's a dude here, an assault dude. Look at his
Ooh.
face.
Oh shit, he looks so familiar. He looks like someone who was famous in the late 90s, early 2000s. Oh, I don't like looking
his
at
face.
it.
I'm going with him. Just the way, like, he was, like, chewing on something, too. It was... it's too funny.
Like,
Anyway, go ahead.
The Episode 5 very much set the tone for what Star Wars was going to be leading forward. What with all this hopelessness, these impossible odds, and it very much did the same. Like, it mirrored the same thing in this movie, but in a way that also kind of destroyed the normal conventions you'd go about it. You know?
Yeah.
Like it gave us
And
a
I really
hopeless
like-
situation. It didn't do it in a way that's going to be like all these avenues are still here for us to come back to. Like Luke is gone. He isn't frozen in carbonite. The resistance is gone. It isn't still the rebellion fighting during the construction of a new Death Star. They're literally building everything from the ground up to be a completely new and free universe, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like a really, really interesting way to do it, especially now that I mean I don't know if it was the case. No one knows except for J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, but and Disney, the lore keepers for Star Wars. But
Yeah.
now that Rian Johnson seems to have taken a bit of dookie in JJ's salad, it's going to be really interesting to see how JJ's going to like wrap it up now that he has to come up with some fresh ideas outside of his outline, you know?
Neutralize threat of beta!
Yeah, and like one quick funny thing before I actually discuss about a serious thing is I'm deciding to call the trilogies from now on based on who writes and directs them, just so that way it's not like, and the next trilogy after the next trilogy after the, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm calling this trilogy the Abrams Johnson trilogy, which means that the next trilogy I'm going to call just the Johnson trilogy.
Johnson and Johnson, a family company.
Just the Johnson for your Johnson. But like, yeah, like one thing that I did learn from the bonus disc again was that at one point, like the original ending for The Force Awakens had that scene with Luke and Rey, but not only did he smile when he took the lightsaber back, but JJ wanted to have floating rocks just around Luke. Like Luke was just randomly levitating a bunch of rocks around him for no apparent reason while Rey was there. Probably just to make the shot more epic. And you know, Ryan had been hired at that point to do the next movie, and you know, because the script for Force Awakens was written, Ryan had to be like working on his movie by that point, so he was writing his, and he'd written a good chunk of it by then. And so because of the direction he was taking it, he went over to JJ and he made a special request. He's like, "Hey, could you just not do that?" and JJ was like, "Sure." And so luckily we got Luke with no expression taking the lightsaber, just kind of like a knowing look or an ambiguous look, if anything.
Like
and then no floating
processing.
rocks.
Like
Yeah.
And a neat little thing, the quote unquote gravestone that people were freaking out about that he was standing near. You don't see it in the beginning of The Last Jedi, like in that kind of recreation of the scene. But after Luke tosses the lightsaber over his shoulder, and it switches to a second shot of him walking down the hill with Rey looking confused, you do see that rock again up at the top of the hill, just poking out slightly. I mean, it's the same setting, so I'm not surprised that it's there. But I do like that there wasn't any attention called to it in this movie.
Yeah, and it, like, I don't even think it was a grave, honestly.
That's why I said quote
I don't know why
unquote.
people thought it was.
But, well, I mean, if you want to get into why people thought it was, I can tell you right now, the only bit of the next movie that I know was what I told you, the casting call for a character named Mara, who in the old extended universe was Luke's wife. And that's what people thought the grave was. Because Mara had helped Luke train the new generation of Jedi at their temple, which is something that happened in this universe as far as training in the temple. And it would make sense for her to have died if Ben were to have burned that whole fucker to the ground. I doubt she'd sit down and let him kill the other 12 to 6 students.
Yeah. And honestly, even if it is supposed to be a grave, which again, don't think it is, I really didn't notice that particular rock at all. But even if it is, I'm glad that if it is, it's there.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's good enough.
It's there, they didn't make a point of it, and it doesn't matter. If it's going to matter, it'll matter later. But it played absolutely no part in this story that we needed it to. In fact, it just existed, and that's it. That's all you need. You don't even need it, but we got it. It's a rock.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
Ooh, it could be a fancy rock too, I guess. But yeah, that was just a quick little aside there.
Yeah. Shit, did we like hit a bedrock again or something?
What?
Rock roadblock?
What do you mean?
Not bedrock. Like I'm just trying to think. Like, did we close out all the discussions that we were talking about so far? Do we have to start a new one now?
we did go all we got all the way here off of your feelings on Leia's quote unquote gotcha moment. And
Yeah.
I also have a scene that I would have liked to have seen in place of that. Where like she senses the torpedoes coming because the Force, and reaches out to brace herself, and it's again from the perspective of people looking outwards towards space with the debris, and she's hanging on. But then the camera shifts, or we see from her perspective, and she isn't actually holding anything. She's just holding herself there with the Force. I felt like that would have been another really elegant way to do it. But, I mean, as it stands, I don't really have a problem with the scene the way it is in the movie.
That's fair. Because, like I said, all it really needs for me to not care about it at all is to just literally cut out the 10 seconds that we see her in space. So it's not something that bugs me a lot. It's only something that bugs me a bit now.
And I did the research, damn it, so I do want to touch on it real quick. It won't take more than 2 minutes.
All right.
But, like, there are people who are like, oh, Leia wouldn't have survived in space. She would have suffocated or frozen to death, or her blood would have exploded out of her eyeballs. And it takes upwards of 5 minutes to completely die from asphyxiation. That scene lasted 65 seconds total, and it was in real time, as we could see there. The only cuts were back to, what's-his-face? General... Ew, Solo, you look gross. I'm sorry, I just got the menu. It cuts back to Hux for a quick little keep up the barrage to let them know we're here, and then it cuts back to her immediately. That whole scene from beginning to when she like touches the door lasts 65 seconds. It takes 15 seconds to go into unconsciousness, and 2 to 5 minutes for any amount of neurological damage to occur. As far as
2 minutes,
2 to 5. And that's like minor damage. Once you hit 5 to 7, that's when you start getting into the irreparable shit. That's going to cause like spinal cord damage, and you start to lose your motor skills permanently. And as far as the effects of embolism, if that's how you pronounce it, I don't know, the process by which moisture in the body turns into vapor during explosive decompression or in a vacuum, it takes 40 seconds before any real effects start to occur in the body, which first manifest in the heart and the rest of your cardiovascular system. It'll start to greatly increase your heart rate until about the 2-minute mark, when it'll decrease to about 40% of your normal resting rate. By then you'll already be unconscious, so it won't really matter. But it won't do damage until 5 to 7 minutes, and again, it won't do any serious damage until past that point. So for Leia to have woken up and put herself back onto the bridge, it's completely plausible that she'd be fine after a couple hours of bed rest, because the treatment for decompression like that is to give you a plasma transfusion to replace all the blood that had vaporized in your body. And you do bloat a little bit because it's trapped inside your skin, so you get a little fat, but that doesn't actually cause any damage, it just hurts. So you get an IV transfusion.
which doesn't matter because she's unconscious.
Exactly. And she's probably then again unconscious as soon as she reaches the door.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you give them plasma transfusion to get back the water and fluids that they lost, and then you keep them in a likewise low temperature refrigerated state, so that way you bring up their body temperature slowly, so that way you don't increase the risk of further vaporization of the fluids. And after that, like a few hours of that, and bed rest, and you're golden.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not nearly as deadly as people like to believe it is, apparently.
Yeah, because like I said, the only part of that I knew was from the Vsauce video about it, where he explained what happened, and everything that you said happens, he said happened. I just didn't remember the time scale that it happened over.
Yeah, I actually had to look really hard to find anything that mentioned time.
Huh.
Like I went deep. Like I said, I read an actual research paper by a dude who is specializing on this kind of thing.
Damn.
But
Also, I'm back in the menu now. If you want to go ahead and invite me.
I noticed that. I was opening my $500 loot box, or 500 credits loot box. Oh, that's how I do it. Yeah, I just figured I'd touch on that, one, because I'm a fucking nerd, and two, because that is something that some people online have had problems with.
Yeah, like I said, I personally do not care at all about science in Star Wars, and that's totally not what I had a problem with, but there are people who do have problems, and it's good to take them down a peg.
I do have problems with a little bit of the science in stars, what the gravity drives in the bomber. Like, it would have to be up in the cockpit where all that machinery is, because you're like immediately out into space at the bottom, so it would have to be like a repulsive force instead of an attractive one. But, you know, science in Star Wars, you best not look too deep into it. Multiplayer.
Oh, I have 2 things that I can unlock. Yay.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get more health.
Luxurious.
Takodana. Ooh, it's Maz's castle.
Oh, neat.
So that's the planet that they went to.
Oh yeah, Maz, who
The
totally
planet's name is
fucked,
Takodana.
fucked the code breaker. like
that was awkward, man.
that was so great. It was like Poe's just like, wow, sounds like you can do anything. And then Maz takes a moment to be like, yeah, he really can.
It's so weird.
And that's another thing. Since we're getting into the code breaker with Canto Bight, it's a beautiful city. I really like the aesthetic of it, and I don't necessarily agree with everybody who says that those scenes took it to like grinded the narrative to a halt. Like I didn't feel that pacing issue, because honestly, like watching the movie again, there's not a whole hell of a lot that's going on.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know why I felt that way initially, because I totally did feel that way initially. But after, like, rewatching the movie a bunch of times, like, I don't see it anymore. It just fits. It's fine.
Yeah, like, I understand the Luke and Rey stuff. You want to get to the bottom of the mystery. You want to see the Force. You want to see what Luke's been up to. You want to know who Rey's parents are. You want to know what her place is. You want to see them train together. And then on the ships, oh, are they going to make it? You have all that tension. Poe's trying to commit a mutiny. Like, what the fuck? Is Leia going to live? Who knows? So I get it. It doesn't have all those gripping elements. But as far as pacing goes, it's exactly the same as the rest of the movie up to the end.
Yeah. The only thing about it is that it I guess technically grinds to a halt for an extremely long establishing shot. Well, not extremely long, but a longer shot or a collection of shots that just showcase every bit of detail that went into creating that palace, which 90% of that stuff is practical effects. Only like a tiny smidgen of it is CG. Most of that stuff is actual makeup and puppet, and that is a real set that they are on. Like, they built that set. And
I
wow.
love that, honestly. Like, I agree that it does slow down the pacing of the movie a bit, but if we didn't, like, if we didn't see that, it wouldn't feel like Star Wars to me. If we didn't see a new interesting place, a new environment, then all we have is crate and a spaceship, and that's, I don't know, it would feel like a little bit of the magic is missing to me.
Yeah. Like, and honestly, I don't know if the movie did win awards for its costume design, but if it didn't, it should have. That is fantastic costume design that they had in that scene.
You just murdered everybody.
Wow.
Well,
I murdered Lando.
I mean, I guess technically
Follow
we're
Angry
arresting
Kylo
him?
Ren, or... Yeah, because he didn't die. He kind of, he was just like, I give up. Oh, that's a sentry droid. Oh, that's what that is.
Huh. This feels interesting. It feels nice to be Darth Vader.
I'm Captain Phasma again.
Also, it's nice to see Rey get bitch slapped by Darth Vader. I think that the donkey horse cats look dumb, but a lot of things in Star Wars looks dumb, and that is definitely part of the
Oh,
magic.
the Farthiers?
Yeah, the Farthiers. Also a dumb name. But again, that's part of the magic.
I really like their
Everything in
name.
Star Wars is dumb looking and has a weird name. I love that shit.
Might I remind everyone and anyone that the awesome that type of music is called jizz.
Oh my god, and we got a brand new type of jizz in Canto Bight too. That's like a classier kind of jizz.
They were totally playing jizz.
It ain't that urban jizz.
Oh, jeez.
Come on, you know that's like the feeling it was evoking. Like a late 60s casino club versus like the down and dirty Tatooine jizz. It's just getting stuck in my head now.
And a really cool detail about that scene too is they had to have tons of extras in that scene in order to make that happen. And so what they actually did was, in their casting call, they actually happened to search out somebody who played an extra in the original Star Wars.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. So he got to be an extra in both original trilogy and the new trilogy.
I just imagine that guy showing up to set and he's like, "This isn't how you Star Wars, kid. This is how you Star Wars."
And then this is also off topic, but like, they during that scene, like, because so many people had makeup on, they had prosthetics, so it was kind of hard for some people to see through their masks. One guy accidentally walked over to Mark Hamill, who was just sitting down and watching what was happening. And he immediately started apologizing. He's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize who you were. And Mark is like, no, what? He's like, I really loved you when I was a kid. Thank you so much for just being you. And Mark is like, oh, no, thank you. No, like, I admire you and what you're doing. That's so awesome. Here, let me walk you back over to where you're supposed to be.
Man, the way you're talking to him. Oh, no, it's okay.
But yeah, he's like, no, I admire what you're doing with all the costumes and stuff. That's really cool. Here, let me help you walk you back to where you're supposed to go. And so then he helped the guy back over to his position on set.
Yeah, that's so fucking
and
adorable.
it was just Mark Hamill is like the nicest person.
He's just so genuinely good. Like, you know why he stopped playing the Joker? Because he wanted other actors to have a chance.
Really? That's why he did it?
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to be like the one guy who's allowed to do this. I think other people should be allowed to play this iconic role and leave their stamp on it. I don't want to own the Joker.
Oh my god. He is amazing.
He's such a sweet guy. It could come out that he eats puppy brains for fun, and I'd be like, oh, Mark.
Are they delicious? Should we be eating them?
It's the brand new diet.
The Hamill diet. Holy shit, we fucked them. We fucked them hard.
There were 3 lightsabers constantly smashing their brain holes. Like, I had a Rey.
I didn't know Maz had a statue of herself.
I immediately just, like, sidestepped and murdered her. It felt, oh, hey, look at me! Hey, look at that! I'm cool!
You got first.
I'm Darth Vader. And that, I don't know if that's how it feels for you as Phasma, but, like, the effortlessness that I feel by being Darth Vader is a really great fucking power fantasy for this game.
I mean, I got to be Luke for that one thing, and that was super fun. Like, I had a lightsaber battle with Kylo Ren. Like, it felt like an actual lightsaber battle, too.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, because, like, if you block and he just pounds on you, it's actually like you're blocking his strikes.
Oh, that's
and then,
cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. But as Phasma, it's actually a nice extension of me, because I do like to hang back and be like, yeah, I'm safe.
you're the pragmatic rebel. It's like, is it Tuesday? I gotta meet my mother on Tuesdays. I can't be blowing up bases.
Ooh, I'll be Rey. Fuck yeah, I want to be Rey. I love Rey. But also she gets a turret, so I also feel like Torbjorn, and that's also great.
That's pretty good.
And one of my powers, I figured out what it was, is I can recover my health.
Ah.
So yeah, if I press the left and right bumper, my health just gradually goes up. And I imagine if I get shot while I'm regaining the health, it just stops wherever it is when I get shot. So
that would make sense. It could also be that you recover a set amount, so you could also rapidly heal the damage, but I don't know as I didn't look or pay attention or play.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like I just recovered up to full health, honestly.
What the fuck is with the
I love Han.
Oh, that's Yoda. It's not a Jawa.
Yeah, it's Yoda. Oh my god.
Legit
Also, I love how I love how Han walked in like, yeah, really? This is the fucking place.
Don't worry, sweetheart. I know some maneuvers.
This is the one time where you could actually put Harrison Ford from 1970 next to the dude who's playing Harrison Ford in 1970 and just see how much he doesn't look like Harrison Ford in 1970.
I also loved.
Oh god, I'm running! Whoa!
DJ was dope. I loved his lisp.
DJ was awesome.
I loved his stutter. I especially loved his stutter on account of my stutter, and I'm like, I have representation in the movie. This is what this feels like. I'm more than just a white guy now.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, it's the first role I've seen Benicio del Toro in, and that one role, yeah. Like, honestly, based on that role alone, I was seriously considering going to see Sicario, Dia del Soldado, or something, Day of the Soldado, or something like that.
I mean, apparently he's just really weird in all his roles.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
And apparently he was written in there to be the Han Solo character, only this time you really don't know if he's what he's going to choose.
Yeah, like he's actually
a
scoundrel. Doing scoundrel things.
And they portray it really well. They really use him really well to portray, like, there are no good people or bad people. It's just people.
Yeah. I really like that. It's like, oh, so the good guys? I mean, the bad guys? Oh, look. The good guys, too. And then at the very end, he's like, sorry, kid, it's just business. If they blow you up today, you blow them up tomorrow. And he's like, oh, it doesn't have to be, or whatever the fuck Finn says, it doesn't matter. And he's just super dismissively like, yeah, maybe you're right. And he just walks away with his money.
Yeah, that was Benicio's idea. It was his idea to say maybe.
Well, it was fucking perfect.
Yeah, like the original line was, yeah, you're probably right, and he walks away. But Benicio's like, no, it's maybe.
Oh, definitely keep it vague.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he just seems like a really great actor.
He walks the middle. He does what benefits him.
Yeah, and
oh, I like it. I like it. I like him. I hope he comes back. I hope he somehow managed to get on a shuttle and get out first. Like, I want to see him. I want to see him betray the good guys. That is a dead ass stormtrooper right there. I want to see him betray the good guys, and be like, "Oh, yeah, I showed up in this ship to save you because, reasons." Just be like, Benicio.
Yeah, because apparently, like, they filmed him saying, I think they filmed him saying the line that was written for him, but then he's like, hey, yeah, can we just try it where I say maybe? And Ryan's like, sure. And he just does it the one take, and Ryan's like, yeah, nope, you're right, it's maybe. It was just so much more powerful than what he wrote. And I think that's a good example of, like, people who say, like, oh, prequels are better than this movie. It's like, no. Like, it's a good example of why George Lucas kind of went about the prequels the wrong way. Where, like, he got to make all the executive decisions and nobody else really got a say in what happened.
I mean,
you
except
lose
for Samuel
things
Jackson,
like that.
but literally only because he's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Like, when you lose that input, especially from your actors to be able to play the role, they think it should be the way they think it should be played. Like, oh, there's an area of effect for that. Fuck. You lose that extra bit of realism that those actors can bring to the character. And I forget where I heard this, but somebody said it. I think it was either an article or a video or something, just tips on how to direct people. It just said, let the actor fill the role, you know? You can direct them to get the right feeling that you want, but let them bring something to their character that only they could bring, because they're going to have their own vision for how it should be. They can bring it to life in a better way that you probably couldn't, and fuck it. You know, you're never going to get exactly what you want out of your vision anyway. So, you know, the more people that can help bring something you never could have thought of to the role might actually benefit you, you know?
Exactly, and like that's something that I really saw highlighted from the director's point of view in Joe Rogan's podcast with Kevin Smith the first time around. He was talking about the filming of the movie Dogma with Chris Rock, and he had a line. It was like he falls down from the sky and he reveals that he's the angel Gabriel, whoever he was, and he's like, "Oh, do you know Jesus?" He's like, "Jesus? Hey, he still owes me $5." And Kevin Smith was like, "Oh my God, that was hilarious, Chris. But I mean, it's just it's too bad we can't use it." And he's like, and Chris Rock's just like, "What the fuck do you mean we can't use it?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, the credits, like, I have to pay you a writing credit, and then it'd be like written by Kevin Smith and Chris Rock." And he's like, "What? No, I give that to you. You don't have to pay me for the line. That's my job. I come here and I bring what I bring to the table, and it's your job to tell what's best for the movie. Like, it's not,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to pay me for something I'm giving you here." And that was like a director who's directed 3 or 4 movies before that. That was his first realization that, like, your actors are there to help you as much as you are to redirect them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a really, like, cool anecdote. Of course, you could also
He made the movie,
take
what,
it as,
Walrus?
like, huh?
No, Tusk. That was the movie that he made.
Tusk. I still
Where Mark
wanna
Hamill
watch
played...
Tusk.
What was Mark Hamill's character's name?
I don't know. I know
Or something stupid.
In Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Mark Hamill played an evil Jedi supervillain named the Cockknocker.
That's who it was. Okay, so it wasn't Tusk. Yep. And Mark Hamill, I believe, accepted the role because at first he thought it said clock knocker.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And he still says it's his best role.
You just had a really big hand and punch people in the dick with a lightsaber. Oh. But yeah, no, because George Lucas refused to let anybody else have a hand, even his, like, literal creative partner, to a great extent. The prequel suffered for it.
Yeah. And, like, in the interview with Carrie Fisher, because they interviewed people about how Rian Johnson directed the movies, or the movie, and Carrie Fisher, like, the first thing that she says, I don't even think they show them asking the question, or if they might have shown, like, the questioner asking the question, but the first thing she says is, oh, he's an asshole. But, like, it's her playful way of just fucking with you.
Yeah. I really like that about off-screen Carrie Fisher. She's just like, she's kind of a douche.
Yeah, Ryan said he's like, I absolutely loved working with Carrie. Didn't have to direct her much, but when I had to, we butted heads a bit.
My favorite thing is the bad lip reading videos. There's one music one they did called Seagulls Stop It Now, which is just Yoda singing about seagulls poking at him with young Luke. And apparently Mark Hamill discovered that while filming either The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens. And, like, he immediately went to Carrie's trailer and was just like, oh my god, Carrie, you have to watch this with me. And they just busted up. It was their favorite thing.
Oh god, my body!
Oh, you're the Rey who keeps saving me. I forgot about that.
Oh, cool, I'm doing things then, because I feel like I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, I feel about like that sometimes until like I get a triple kill on Jedi peoples. And I'm like, yay, I can fight a lightsaber. Oh,
yeah, because I've been trying to mind trick people. The mind trick symbol looks a lot like Toby's mask in Naruto.
I think it reverses your control scheme. Well, their control
Might,
scheme.
yeah.
Because it happened to me
Yeah.
a few times in the last match.
Yeah, same. Ha! I just did it to Boba Fett.
Oh, can we talk about Crate now?
Oh yeah.
I want to talk
let's go.
about either Crate or the mirror scene with Rey.
Let's go Crate, just because whoever the art director or storyboard artist or writer who decided that should be the setting and that's how it should work needs to get a raise.
Absolutely.
Even if it's Rian Johnson.
That shit was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird that it's Crate, but not like Crate with a K-R-Y with the Crate Dragons, but whatever.
Yeah, it's spelled C-R-A-I-T.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it was fucking gorgeous.
And like they obviously the backgrounds and like the landscapes were actually like just CG'd by ILM, but they actually did find a salt flat, I think in Arizona, where they filmed a lot of the scenes for that one. And then they had on their back lot, they had oh boy, fuck that stupid droid! Stop electrifying me!
I
Fuck you!
think that's Iden Versios.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna try Lando.
Yeah, they just on their back lot in California, they set up an actual like salt flat of their own and like put up a blue screen and they just started exploding the fuck out of it to test to see what materials would suit the red undersand to the best, because they really wanted to get that perfect kind of chunky stuff that stays together but also like spreads out a good deal, so that way it looks really cool after a battle.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of work went into those effects.
It paid off. Boy, howdy did it pay off.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you've seen the slow motion take, the raw take of I forget his name. The guy who plays Poe. His slide back into the trenches, where just it's slow-mo, him sliding under the trenches with all of the red sand pouring over him, and the guy, the cinematographer, has like plastic over him in the camera, so none of the red stuff gets on him.
No, that sounds wonderful though.
You haven't? Oh, I think I've seen it online at least once. You should try looking it up, or just try looking it up. Anybody should. I think it's one of the scenes that they, used to promote the bonus features on the disc, because it's such a cool scene. Because they had a cinematographer who was, like, they actually hired a cinematographer who, shoots documentaries to shoot the making of the movie. So every single day, as many people as possible, and I guess who are really important and were going to be on set every day of the filming. So like Ryan Johnson, the producers, anybody else like the writers, the actors, they were all mic'd up off set. So that way they could, catch everything they said. They were filming as much like literal documentary style for it. So while they were filming that scene of the trenches, there was a guy filming the guy who was filming the scene, and they got it in slow motion, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
That sounds fucking wonderful.
Yeah. And like, I really like how like the guy they got to do the making of, because I think he's just really good at documentaries, and because everybody was mic'd up. There were a couple scenes with Ryan and Luke just kind of like disagreeing and or just laying down, or not laying down, sitting down. My bad. I just knocked over Phasma. That's why I said laying down. They were just sitting down and just discussing it, and I guess before the title had been announced, they're sitting in the set of the Jedi Temple with the mosaic, and they're sitting together. And Ryan's like, "So I think I've finally come up with the name for the movie, and I haven't told anybody. You want to hear it?" And Mark is like, yeah, tell it to me. He's like, "The Last Jedi," and Mark is like, "Hey, that's me."
Oh my god, that's great.
And Ryan's like, "Yep," and Mark is like, "I like it. I think that's the perfect title." So there's just that. I really like that.
I love that little
Crate
Twitter series of or whatever that Mark Hamill posted of like the 3 titles, and it was like the Last Jedi, or The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi from his nap, and it's just him laying on a couch.
Oh, that was great. That would be amazing if the final, like, episode 9 was titled from his nap. Yeah, Crate was just, it was such a beautiful scene. And did you want to talk about like what actually happens on Crate other than it just being beautiful?
I mean, yeah, since we're on the topic, yeah, let's hit that up.
All right. Well, first, like the walkers that they created, the gorilla walkers.
Oh yeah.
So fucking cool.
Yeah, they were awesome. Especially how you could see they diverted armor from the top to make room for a larger fuel cell, fuel cells plural on the back.
Yeah.
And they had a lot more armor in the front on the legs, and the legs had more posability. And then you got to see that side by side between the new walkers and the ATS or AT-ATs, and how much they freaking dwarf them. Oh, they're so cool. Especially with their artillery cannons on the backside.
And that really low groaning sound that they make.
Yes.
So awesome.
So they sound like bestial.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot you can talk about. You can talk about the Finn scene. I will say I've come around a lot on Finn's character in this movie, and I guess just in the series in particular. Because, like, his character arc is actually pretty much complete at this point, or complete from what he started off as, which is, like, in The Force Awakens, he started off as a stormtrooper, decided he didn't want to be a stormtrooper, and fled. But he wasn't necessarily with the Resistance either, and he wasn't forced to pick a side. He ended up, if anything, picking Rey, which is, hey, we won.
Yeah, more than anything, his character was just running. Like,
yeah, he was just running from stuff.
And even at the end, with the with the battering ram, he was still running from his responsibility to fight into a freaking Death Star laser.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it was for a positive force, but in the end, he was still just running.
Yeah, he was just doing stuff for himself. The only reason he went to Starkiller Base in the first place was to save Rey. He didn't actually intend to take down the shield.
He didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. And, like, his arc in that movie was just, I guess, coming around to be more confident about who he is and, you know, what he actually wants, sort of, where, like, he fights for himself, you know? He stopped running at the end of the first one and started fighting, and that was the big moment for his arc, was the moment he decided to stop running. But since he had made that choice, he was still kind of in a limbo. Well, if you're not running, what are you doing, you know? Are you in it for you, or are you in it for the cause? Or actually, whoops, I want to be Phasma. And this movie, like, really displayed that really well, where, like, at every turn, there was some force for influencing Finn. Like, that was actually the reason that Rose was introduced. It was to be the person who was really committed to the Resistance, to fighting the First Order. Like, she was in 120%. And so she was the little bird on his shoulder telling him to join the Resistance and, you know, fight for the Resistance.
And it was even more than that, because, like, yes, in the end, it was her words. It's saving what we love, whatever. Rose isn't a good speaker. It's not because, like, she's a poor character. It's just she was written to be terrible at talking. I realized that after her first line. Well, her first line is, like, I'm not used to doing talking to heroes. Doing talking, and that was literally her first line. So I'm like, okay, she's just written to not know how to speak well. What the fuck is Donald Glover wearing?
Please tell me that they've actually fucking, like, allowed for fun skins in this game, because if so, yay. That is an amazing shirt, and Lando should be wearing that all the time. Yeah, he needs to be wearing that all the fucking time.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But yeah, it was having Rose, who was a nobody from a mining colony that then just got shelled to hell by the First Order, show him what life was like for the rest of the galaxy outside of the First Order, and what it meant to not be, what it meant to really be a part of this conflict going on. It's like, yes, the rich people selling weapons, and they are a part of the conflict, but they're very much hands-off. They sell their weapons, and they spend their money. That's it. So, for the little people, like, exposing him to them is what really exposed him to any sort of a reason to fight the First Order. And that's really what he needed. And he learned that fighting doesn't mean dying at the end, and it kind of completed his character arc in this one.
Yeah, and, like, because I mean, the way Rian Johnson explained it, he wrote in whoa, everybody went flying. Oh my god. He wrote in Rose and What was Benicio del Toro's character?
DJ.
DJ. He wrote in DJ to be the antithesis of Rose, to be the guy who's with the First Order, because Finn obviously won't join the First Order. So he was written in to be the bird on his other shoulder, telling him to do it for himself. Do whatever's best for him. Stay out of the war. Don't do anything. That was really brilliant. So like his entire arc throughout the movie was listening to these two people being like, oh, well, which do I do? Which do I do? And, ultimately he chooses to fight for the Resistance, and his arc has come so far as to, he was running not too long ago, and now he's willing to die for the Resistance. Like, he was completely 100% willing to run into that cannon just to stop it from firing, to save everybody. And that is a big moment.
Frankly, if
I don't know
if it run into the cannon and like destroy it, I think that would have been an amazing end for his character. I think that there are still stories to be told with him. That is certain. But if his story had ended there, I think it would have been like just a beautiful arc for him, from this faceless child that got abducted into the First Order, knowing nothing but mops and schematics, to somebody who's willing to die for something they believe in, even if they've only believed it for a few weeks.
Absolutely. But seeing as he didn't die, I really don't know how much better it would have been if he did, Because if he did die and like run into the cannon, then how would they have gotten into the base? That there wouldn't have been the confrontation with Luke, and
exactly. They needed that to not work for the rest of the movie. I'm definitely glad it didn't. I'm just saying that if for whatever reason it did, then I would have been totally okay with it. Just that his story would have had a nice bookend if it had ended there. Not say that it isn't good that it is continuing, just that like he feels very complete as a character now.
Yeah. And touching on the the line that people seem to hate, which is you're not going to win by killing what we hate. We're going to win by saving what we love. Yeah, it's a ham-fisted line, and it didn't need to be spelled out like that. But if you just watch the movie, it's literally what everybody accomplishes in this movie. Literally everything that the heroes accomplish is saving what they love. Admiral Holdo, she sacrifices herself, yes, but she saves what she loves. Not to beat the bad guys, but literally just to save everybody else. Everybody else would have been fine until, they started being shot at, and she was like, well, I gotta save them at my expense. I gotta save what I love. Rey ends up saving what she loves, her friends. Poe ends up trying to save what he loves. Unfortunately, by sacrificing himself, which didn't end up happening. But like just everything everybody was doing is just leads up to them saving whatever they want to save. That was the lesson that everybody learned in one way or another, including Poe.
Inversely,
especially
Kylo
Poe.
Ren went about killing what he hated, quite literally. He even tells Rey to let go of the past and kill it if he had to. He kills Snoke, and if at any point it fancied him, he definitely would have killed Hux. He even feels responsible for Luke. Like, he didn't kill Luke. Luke more or less just like, well, that's the door, I'm walking through it now. But he would have killed Luke had Luke presented himself. So he's very much the antithesis of that final line.
Mm-hmm. And it's just it's brilliantly written, honestly.
And I like that it sounds bad too, because like I just said, Rose doesn't know how to talk well. So the fact that it is such a little, not a garbagey line, but something that sounds so hokey, but like, people from small towns do sound kind of hokey sometimes. Like, it's just that little homegrown community feeling, And she's from a small mining colony, so it makes sense within her character. And, like, for her to not speak well, having it being so ham-fisted, it feels more than anything, that's just her personality. And the only way that they could have delivered that message through her while still staying within her character.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair.
I mean, that being said, I do think they could have written it to be more subtle and beautiful, but for what they did with it, I feel like it fit very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not something I thought about.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice that. Like, I kind of saw that general theme a little bit, but I wasn't aware of it until you just said it.
It was, yeah, I mean, it's not something that I thought about until I watched a video about it, and I'm like, wow, yeah, huh. I forget which video that was, but it was pointed out to me in a video. Wonder what Yoda's powers are.
I don't know. I have to pay 70,000 credits to unlock a hood. Sorry, 20,000 credits to unlock a hood, or 500 money currencies. Yoda heals, he dashes, and...
Oh, I want her
Horse
Octo
purchase.
outfit. I love her Octo outfit.
Oh,
Really? 40,000 credits?
Ray's just a cool character. Ray's cool.
Yeah, like,
I love her hair.
Fuck
thing
anybody who
too, but
doesn't
I have
like her.
No fucking clue how it works. Like, how do you have that much volume in those buns?
you don't want none unless you got them. I don't want none unless you got volume in your buns, hun. God, I saw a really horrible parody of that song, and it was for I think accountants, and so they're like, I like big audits and I cannot lie. My
gross.
other partners can't deny. It was pretty bad. But I loved every second of it because it was bad.
I just gotta say, I don't like how these guys are like planning and setting up choke points with like tasers and stuff. I'm super not about it.
Yeah, I don't know how to play this game. But I'm having fun.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
And just
it controls a little bit better than the last one, but we actually haven't played the game part of the game yet. So
yeah. And since we're zeroing in on the crate scene, I think it's pertinent to talk about ow, fucking electricity! Fuck this stupid thing, I hate it. Oh my god, you're stupid and I hate you. God, die, just fucking die. Die. It's dead, it's gone. Fuck it.
Jesus.
I hate it, it's so annoying. Anyway, I think it's pertinent to talk about Kylo Ren since we're talking about the crate thing. I know a lot of people didn't like him in the original, or not in original, in The Force Awakens, because he didn't feel like a villain. And, like, I gotta say, just for that movie, like, I think he was awesome in that movie, too. Because I could talk for days about the amount of depth that he had even in that one, but I'll save that if we ever decide to talk about The Force Awakens. All I will say about that is that the choices that they made when constructing his character for that one were brilliant, because they were thinking, like, who can top Darth Vader? Nobody. Nobody can top Darth Vader. And so that's what they made him. They made somebody whose goal was to be Darth Vader. His goal was to literally be the new Darth Vader. And the realism, or the reality, is that he can't be. And so that's the foil of his character, is that he wants to be Darth Vader, and he never will be. And his character has to deal with that.
And it's exactly that Snoke uses to like leverage against him to manipulate him so hard.
Yeah, it was a brilliant choice. I don't know if JJ came up with that idea or who came up with that idea, but that guy also deserves a raise.
Right? Like, fuck, write my next D&D campaign, guy.
And so Kylo in this one, You know, like the act of killing his father broke him, and I'm really glad
Why
that
don't you have
they
a saber
stated
blade,
that
but
for
you're
everybody.
glowing blue?
What?
On my screen, you don't have a blade, but your face is glowing blue.
Well, on my screen I have a blade, so your screen needs to get good.
Oh, I'm dying.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
are.
you're just blocking.
I'm
shit with
blocking
your bare
bullets.
hands. It's pretty impressive, actually.
Okay, yeah, and another thing, if we ever do talk about The Force Awakens, I'm going to talk about the fucking amazing Kylo Ren bullshit, where, like, he stopped a laser. Like, if there was any question whether he was a badass or not, he stopped a laser and then held it there with his mind, and then just
God.
let it go when he was done.
Absolutely.
That was
Shit was so
oh,
rad.
so cool. So fucking cool. And I like how they drew perfect attention to it and made 3D worth it for that movie just by Poe walking past it and looking at it like, holy shit. But like, oh, I'm sorry. I just had to appreciate Rey's theme that was playing real quick. Oh god, I love it. So yeah, like Kylo Ren. Oh jeez, Kylo Ren was his spirit was split when he killed his father. Like it was really hard for him to do, and like it really confused him, as you know, killing a father would.
Yeah. Something that Snoke says to his face, like, "You got fractured, bitch. Get good."
Yeah, like I'm really glad that Ryan Johnson spelled that out for everybody because everybody seemed to miss it. Anybody who didn't appreciate Kylo Ren in Force Awakens, I think they missed that part.
Absolutely. That's not.
And it was
that's not a fucking some sort of. That's not an petulant kid who feels entitled to be the greatest thing ever. That is a human being, a child who's struggling with the fact that they wholeheartedly believe that they need to be something, but in order to do that, they have to kill the person they love the most. Like that was a super apparent and heart-wrenching struggle to watch. Just so beautifully shot by JJ in that scene.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, there was so much cinematic language being used in that scene that provided so much subtext to anybody who was willing to look into it, and a lot of people just aren't, which is unfortunate, because it was perfect.
And Poe's lines, we have enough time until the light goes. We have until the light goes out to get this done, or whatever the fuck he says. But he makes it very clear that when the light goes, they don't have a chance anymore. And like, for it to be like Han notices, like he sees that the light is gone before you can see that Ben has just steeled himself for the resolve of what he's about to do. But even though you see his resolve, you can tell that it still hurts him at like just as much as it did those few moments ago.
Yeah, and just the one beautiful line of as he kills his father, he says thank you. Like, holy fuck.
He truly believes that even though he's killing his father in the past and that part of him, that even in this way, his papa's still helping. Helping in the way that he kind of always wanted him to. Oh fuck, man.
It's why I love these movies more than I it's writing and just everything well put together like that those are the reasons that I love this new trilogy more than I like the original. Oh, my blade is gone now.
Told you.
All right. I don't have a lightsaber anymore, EJ. I'm just doing this by my goddamn self.
Give him that right hook.
Yeah, but it's for those reasons that I love this trilogy more than I love the original, just because there's so much more to chew on than in the original, which is saying something, because the originals didn't have nothing to chew on.
Absolutely. Like, I think I hold them separate for very specific reasons. The environment of the prequels, there was an amazing environment as far as the war and the droids and all that. It exists very good for what you need from it. If you need like a game or like a little action tale, it'd be a good environment for that. Something where there are boatloads of Jedi, something for everyone to like just kind of be their own fantasy. Like that's what that exists for. And the originals exist to like fill out this world, create an entire universe, which is something it had to do by necessity, but like something that it did so completely well that no Star Wars movie past it has done. And then this one is exploring the human aspects of it all. Like,
Very much,
the prequels were politics and consequence. The originals were like the world and in a tale, and this one's all about the people.
Yeah, and God, if it isn't fucking awesome.
Oh, fuck, dude, I love this series. I love this franchise.
Yeah, it's so fun, and it's why I'm so mad that people are actively trying to stop it.
I know.
It's like, fuck you, just because it's not what you wanted. Just because it's not what you wanted. Your turn will come. If Star Wars lasts forever, you'll eventually get what you want. Just let us have what we want for now. You'll get what you want later. We'll all be Gucci.
Exactly. Do what literally everybody else has done in every movie past this, and find the parts of it you do love and hang on to those. Let that be what guides you. Don't fucking kill what you hate, you goddamn Santa fodder.
You scruffy-looking nerve herders. Getting back on track to Kylo Ren. So yeah, in this movie, they spelled it out. He's broken. Calls him what he is, a child in a mask. And it was so powerful to see him break that mask. And just another awesome little tidbit was that originally they filmed the broken helmet. It wasn't broken, it was just dented from him having punched it a bunch of times. But then, like, after they filmed that, Ryan's like, hang on a sec. He just goes over to it and starts stomping on it aggressively until it's just broken completely. And he's like, film that. And that's the shot they went with.
I did notice that,
So I thought that was...
they cut away from his hand as he kept punching the wall, and they cut back, and there are like 4 bits of helmet left on the ground.
It wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to be dented, like you would have expected it. But Ryan Johnson's like, no, I want to destroy it. And then we talked about him with Leia, and just his journey through the whole thing. Like, we get to the fucking Snoke moment, the fucking second best moment in the entire movie, in the moment where like my jaw hung open the entire time.
Oh my god, dude, that scene makes me wet.
It's so good. It's so good that even the Kylo just pulls the lightsaber. As he pulls the lightsaber and cuts Snoke in half, the Force theme starts playing as the lightsaber hits Rey's hand. She looks surprised. The Force theme starts playing, and if you listen to the Force theme sounds like it's surprised about what happened. It's like bum 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 and it's like, whoa, holy shit! I can't believe what just happened.
Did you folks at home see that shit?
I'm on my fucking edge of my seat. I'm glad I only paid for the edge. Just that moment where, 'cause a lot of people didn't view Kylo Ren as like, oh, I don't take him seriously as a villain from the first one. That moment where he kills Snoke and takes what he feels is rightfully his, the power that Snoke promised him since he'd been training him, like, that is the moment where it's like, well, for me personally, the moment where he became a true villain was when he killed Han Solo. That's when, like, he got fucking serious. And he's just been stepping up his game ever since then. So, like, if that moment in The Force Awakens wasn't enough for people, that moment right there should have been the point where they start taking him seriously as a villain. Because, like, holy fuck. And, you know, I guess this is my time for, like, the logic part of, you know, how this all works. Because a lot of people complained about, oh, Snoke is all powerful, and in my opinion, he's Darth Plagueis, but even if he's not, like...
Alright, hold up. Before we get into this, because we both have very strong opinions about why Snoke fucking ate it like an asshole. I want to touch on the Darth Plagueis thing. Like, I also subscribe to the theory that he's Darth Plagueis, but I also fully recognize that it does not matter a single bit whoever the fuck this guy is. He says in the beginning when we're introduced to him that, like, he's witnessed the rise and fall of the Empire, the fall of the Jedi, the birth of the Skywalker dynasty. He's seen the fall of Vader, which means he is literally older and before anybody's time, except for Chewie and R2-D2. And why the fuck would Chewie know him? R2-D2 might, but that's a stretch. So literally no one alive in this galaxy at this point knows who Snoke really is to these people. So why the fuck should we care? Like, yeah, we're gonna get that information eventually, but why should that impact our movie? Why does it matter?
Yeah, like, there's actually a good anecdote that I have for that, and I told you about it, I think. I must have told you about it 2 years ago, back when The Force Awakens, was in theaters, or like just after we'd seen it. I was home, or no, it couldn't have been that, because I didn't have my tablet back then. Yeah, I talked about this with you at some point, where somebody was like, I really like that Finn is a stormtrooper, or was a stormtrooper, and that we get that, we get to humanize stormtroopers, but I don't get why they didn't humanize more stormtroopers. Like, if he's human, then they're all human. We should humanize more of them, and I'm sad that wasn't prevalent in the story. And it's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I think that would make an interesting movie to explore the humanity of stormtroopers, because it hasn't been explored yet. That'd be super interesting. But it's not what the movie was about. The movie wasn't about humanizing stormtroopers. It was about that one specifically who, yes, is human, and it's about his journey and everybody else around him. And that's the issue that comes down to, Snoke. Should we get to know Snoke and his backstory and how he got there? Absolutely. I think that would be really interesting. I think it'd be a fun time, and it'd probably blow my mind a couple of times. And plus, people could actually get closure on if he's Darth Plagueis. But, like, it's not what the story was about. It's not Snoke's story. And to anybody who wishes it was, they're doing spin-offs. He could get his own spin-off movie, and that is probably...
Go read the fucking books, asshole. I mean, they're not great, but they've never been great. So quit complaining and, like, go out and seek the material that is available to you,
Yeah, and, like, fucking... even though they're doing a book, there's no way they're not gonna make a Snoke movie with how much people have been asking about him. I think it would actually be a missed opportunity if they didn't do a Snoke movie. But, like, spin-off. That's where you get his story, where the story's about him. This one isn't. So, yeah, while it's cool to think about what he could be, it's not important to these people's lives. What's important is the role he played to them, and that's what we got, and it worked perfectly. But, like, as for why I think it's fine and makes perfect sense that Kylo Ren was able to kill him, was because, he told about how powerful he was, he'd seen the rise and fall of the Empire and the Jedi and everything.
We saw him fuck with Hux from presumably star systems and light years away. He banks lightning off the ground, he steals Rey's lightsaber and smacks her in the face with it while she's actually, like, using the Force to move it around. Like, we just see him do a bunch of shit, so it's clear that he's powerful, but it's also clear how completely confident and so self-assured he is.
Yeah, does he really think that the Padawan that he doesn't even take seriously yet can kill him? Like, no. Why would he consider that a threat?
He doesn't even think Luke Skywalker can kill him.
Yeah. So it makes sense that he wouldn't be worried enough about it to make sure that nobody could kill him. It's like if you didn't think you could catch Salmonella. If you didn't think, ooh, no, fuck, I wanted to be Kylo Ren. Ooh, Kylo Ren. Yeah. You can have Darth Vader. Shit. Ode Opernation to Darth Vader. It's like if you didn't think you could catch Salmonella, if you honestly thought you were immune to catching Salmonella, would you really take the extra few seconds to cook your eggs? Maybe if you wanted them to taste good, but if you just had to, like, run out, you're like, no, let me eat these eggs raw. Unpasteurized? Fuck it. I'm not going to get Salmonella. And what do you know? You got Salmonella. The one time, because, like, you could take that extra, why would you take that extra opportunity if you really thought you were impervious to it? It turns out that you're not, Like, what are Kylo Ren's outfits?
He's been completely aware of everything that's been going on around him through the Force, as made completely obvious by his knowledge of the destroyed transports, which, if someone was to argue with, like, oh, well, why didn't he alert the First Order? And I'd say, well, I don't know, Force reasons. Do you know how the Force works? But if I had to guess, it'd be because you're noticing a gap in the Force that wasn't there a moment ago, that represents death and disconnection from it. And that would be something that calls to you. which is why Ben Kenobi, when Alderaan destroyed, wasn't like, Alderaan's that way. He's like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? When Luke is gone, it's not described as like, oh, we're totally aware that he's there. It's like there's just peace and resolution where he used to like be. There's a gap. It's never like we understand where he is. It's always we now know where he isn't. So
Yeah. And like he even like Snoke specifically stated that he could read Kylo Ren's mind and intentions. So all he had to do once Kylo Ren, like he knew that Snoke could read his mind. So all he had to do was keep his thoughts vague enough and true to what he was actually going to do so he could fool him. And Snoke describes every single thought that Kylo Ren has out loud. And you could hear how vague his thoughts were and how confident Snoke was that he didn't need to read into them any further than he did.
yeah, where once there's conflict, there's now resolve. You hold your lightsaber ready to strike at your true enemy or whatever the fuck it was.
I see him turning the lightsaber,
yeah.
and as he used the Force to turn the lightsaber towards Snoke, he was also turning his lightsaber towards Rey.
Turning the lightsaber to aim at your true enemy.
Yeah, strike down your true enemy, and then when he ignites the lightsaber and destroys his true enemy. And unfortunately for Snoke, he was Kylo Ren's true enemy. It was so good.
He's so fucking positive himself that there's nothing could go wrong. He'd subjugated the galaxy. He literally the entire galaxy. He has the rest of the Knights of Ren out there, like just spanking it all over whatever might be a resistance. Of which we know, thanks to the opening crawl, that there are no real pockets of resistance left. Anything that is left has either been destroyed or has laid down its arms, which is why they're all that's left and are referred to as rebels and criminals, because presumably anyone who didn't like who gave themselves up to the First Order might have been given amnesty or something. I mean, probably not, but it's possible. So like everything is in the palm of his hand. And just like to the point where he's just enjoying watching every spark of hope being extinguished before him because he's so goddamn untouchable.
Yeah, or so he feels.
Oh, yeah. Well, hubris and all that. I was supposed to call it hubris. Hubris.
Yeah.
Hubris
That is
and all
how I'd say it.
It brought down the Sith, it brought down the Jedi, and it brought down Snoke.
Yeah, and yeah, it's exactly right. And it was really nice to see him, just come into his own like that, and like you really saw just how far he was willing to go at that point. Like he didn't care anymore, especially like in the Gorilla Walker when like he was just finally in command, like he was the supreme leader now. Like one of my favorite lines from the movie was when Rey came in on the Millennium Falcon and started helping out the Resistance by distracting the TIE fighters, and Kylo Ren got so pissed off. He was like, blow that piece of junk out of the sky, and like he said it like, it's why I love Adam Driver. He's such a good actor. Like I think he hurt his voice shouting that one because he was so angry. And like he was just fully committed to the dark side at that point. He was just using his anger, letting it just being as angry as fucking possible. Especially when Luke came out and just would not let up and needed like all 8 Guerrilla Walkers firing all of their guns at him for like a minute straight, and he still wasn't convinced that Luke was dead. He wasn't. He was right, but just seeing how angry he got was
he would have kept
just
them
amazing.
firing for who knows how long. It was Hux who gave the order to stand down because Hux was like, "You're a fucking idiot. Why are you doing this?"
Yeah. Even Hux was like, "That's enough! Oh my god, that's enough!" And it was just, I think Kylo Ren, like, he would have been able to tell the deceit was going on if, to quote Star Wars, he was blinded by anger. The anger blinded him.
Absolutely. He let his emotions control him, and it
fucking-
undercut the entirety of the First Order's, like, final strike against the Resistance.
Yeah, it really just showed how flawed it was. And it was really good, really well done. And if there's nothing else you want to say about that part in particular, or just about Kylo Ren, I guess, then I think that brings us to Luke.
Well, since we are still on the death of Snoke, first off, great pimp robes. Dude had style.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But the fucking, oh my god, that fight scene against the Praetorian Guard.
Oh my god, that was awesome!
Oh, so rad. So
And
cool.
like everybody, like they designed that, the armor was obviously inspired by the Imperial Guards for the Emperor from Episode 6.
Yeah,
but like those guys were ceremonial only.
Guards and like a mix between plate mail and also the like the Japanese style of the wooden arm pads that like tile roof off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
God, there's such cool designs.
Yep, and like they just kind of took that mix, like you said, and they worked with actual like choreographers to make sure that they could fight in those suits. And so they just were able to hire, stunt guys. They choreographed the scene out with Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver, and they got so good at that just scene that all Rian Johnson had to do was set up a couple different cameras from a couple different angles and just let them fight.
Oh, you know what would make me feel so cool inside, but like I know probably isn't the case. If they legit were just fighting, and they just got so good at the craft of like their respective weapon combat that they were just fucking going at it at some points. Aside from like the scripted, oh, you get grabbed here, or there are 3 of them on you here. They'd just be like, I know it's not true. It's my childlike wonder craving it to be real. But it'd be so awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just like the burning of the curtains while the fight was going on was really
I didn't
beautiful.
Even notice that at first. Like, I had no idea that that's what was going on. I thought it was damage to the ship at first, but then when I realized it was literally the first guard that Ben disarms and kills. His whip goes flying into the curtains, then it burns down the last vestiges of Snoke's influence around them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just beautiful. You can see
And-
the fabric falling around. It's symbolic. I can't
like,
relate that scene
this
enough.
It's so good. This is so fucking good. Another fun detail about that is on the last guy that they kill, where Rey throws her lightsaber to Kylo, he catches it and just kind of ignites it for a second to kill the guard that's holding him. They did that take a bunch of times, and then the final take, they're like, what if we just like pour smoke into that guy's now like I guess face hole and just film that, and it puffed out perfectly.
Oh, that's cool.
So like next time you watch it, like look for that. It's a really nice puff of
did notice
smoke.
that. It was like just a really satisfying burn look. And that's something that got me immediately. Like the way they use the Force and lightsabers in this movie is something that ever since I was a child I was just like, well, why don't they ever just like turn it off and turn it back on when they point at them, or like just use the Force to do this one thing, like stop themselves from falling, which are like 2 actual examples of things that happened in the movie, both in that scene and when Luke fights Rey in the rain. When she kicks him down, he stops himself from hitting the stairs just barely with the Force, and that was just a nice little touch.
Yeah. And just one detail that like this game also does, because it's a game, but one thing that I think is missing from the prequels is lighting, because they just used sticks for the lightsabers. They didn't actually ignite or glow or anything. And I mean, that's fair. It's the way they did it in the originals. But something I really like about the new trilogy is that the lightsabers actually glow, and so they provide a source of light for the scene. And it's just so awesome because it gives it that extra bit of realism that really just helps immerse me in the world. And so all the lightsaber fights in the world that have that kind of natural lighting with them are just better because of it.
I agree.
It's such a
so
huge
pretty.
difference that you don't notice until like you actually like take a look at it. You're like, huh, yeah, and like none of the lightsabers in the prequels ever give off a glow on people's skin, on the walls around them, on their clothes, nothing. But then like you get to the Force Awakens where they actually use a stunt lightsaber, and it looks fucking gorgeous. And it makes it just, oh, it's so good.
Oh. Oh god, it's just so good. Fuck. God, now I gotta say something bad about it. Hey, remember that one part in the movie where there's that kid and he was like, yeah, woo, and it sounded kind of bad because he's a child actor? Boy, that sucked in the movie, right? Gotta have balance, bro. Gotta have balance.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I really like that kid, though. Especially at the end, how he's just like, alright, I'm gonna sweep now, and he just, like, forces the broom to himself. And I love it, because it's so pure. It's not some big moment, it's not some, wow! It's just a kid doing something that's normal to him, because there isn't anybody around to tell him it's not normal.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I'm so excited for the Force in the future because of this movie, man. So, oh, I love it.
Yeah, I gotta keep a vigilant eye though, because Google is still sneakily trying to recommend me Star Wars stories, and luckily it hasn't said anything about Episode 9 in a while. But I swear it's gonna fucking somehow sneak it in on like a loophole where it's like, oh, this isn't an article about Star Wars, it's just an article from the Daily Times or something. Are you not interested in the Daily Times? I can stop showing you. It's like, fuck you. Fuck you.
I always forget that I have to press the goddamn button to get into the lobby.
Yeah. I wish I had enough points to give Rey her Octo clothes. I love her Octo clothes. Like I don't know what it's called, but Kylo Ren's theme, the First Order theme, I guess. That's a really fucking good theme. Like, I don't think that theme gets enough love. Like, yeah, it's hard to live up to the Imperial March, and you're not going to. But, like, that theme just, it gets so close. It's so perfect. And whenever it plays when, Kylo Ren is on screen, it's just an amazing combination. I really love it. It's only, like, what, 4 or 5 notes, but it's just so perfect.
I definitely, it leaves such an impression. Just like immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's a lot of like I didn't understand why people thought the Force Awakens soundtrack sucked or just wasn't that good. It's like, did you listen to the soundtrack? It's like, yeah, Rey's theme is the only good one. It's like, did you listen to the soundtrack? The First Order march is awesome. It's a theme embedded in there, but like I said, the Kylo Ren theme, the First Order theme, it's not a march. It's just really impactful.
And it's just
I love their subtle use of the Imperial March.
Feeling. It's just You know what I like about that? In the scene where he smashes his mask,
What?
there are just tiny little bits of Vader's verse in the Imperial March that is playing when he's staring at the mask right before he smashes it, and it turns 100% into Kylo's theme.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
The only times I noticed...
He only put like 3 or 4 notes, enough to make it recognizable if you search for it, but not enough to like be called to the forefront of your mind.
Huh, because the zoom in on Kylo's mask was definitely an homage to the zoom in close to Vader's broken mask from the Force Awakens. It's supposed to be parallel there, I think. And like, because I think they only outright use the Imperial March in its entirety, or in its most recognizable state, twice, once in each movie. You hear it once when they zoom in on Darth Vader's mask in The Force Awakens, and then you hear it once when Snoke is talking about Vader with Kylo Ren. And that's it.
Which is something, again, that Snoke uses to motivate him. When he comes back after being hurt and not bringing back Rey, or the location of Luke, he's immediately like, "Oh, I thought you were going to be like the next big thing. I thought you were going to be the cat's pajamas, but you're no Vader. You're not even a real, like, whatever the fuck he said he was. You're just a boy playing pretend."
Yeah, just a boy in a mask, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Or no, just a child in a mask. Just
yeah, a child.
You're just a child in a mask.
Right, that sounds good.
Yeah, like, dude, I watched the movie like 4 times while I was home.
Yeah, and since I took notes, like, I don't have any memories of anything that was a scene that I didn't take notes on, because all my memories are gone because of the notes.
It's just, and something they included in the bonus features was Andy Serkis's live performance of Snoke, and it's just as terrifying as real Snoke.
Oh
Like,
shit!
Andy Serkis is an
Tali's
amazing
ship is,
CG performer.
Is part of the hero ships for this game. It's dope.
How are you looking at that?
I'm in collection. I'm on the main menu.
Oh fuck! I didn't notice that you left.
Yeah, I quit, and it says you're still in my party, but like, you're not.
I know. I was in the game.
Yeah, no, we were waiting for a long time, and I'm like, well, let's see what else this game has to offer. But I didn't say it because we were talking. But yeah, Tali's ship from she's the head. She's Blue Squadron leader. Blue Squadron. They're getting a book, and it's supposed to be super cool. It sounds really cool. She's like the new Wedge, except for that part where she exploded when Kylo Ren blew her up. So that's
like,
sad, but I hope that they get a spin-off, because they were cool.
Yeah, and just for a second, like, this game is fun. Like, it's Battlefront. It's gonna be a good time. Might not be the best time you have, and it might not be as good as, like, the original Battlefronts were, but, like, it's Star Wars. It's a good time. You're gonna have fun with it. But I just hope whatever Star Wars game that isn't Battlefront that EA is working on is gonna be good. Because, like, I don't know if I would have liked the single-player game that they were working on that got canceled and got the studio shut down. Like, I don't know if I would have liked that game. From what I heard, it sounded weird. I might have given it a look, but I don't know if I would have liked it. But, man, it sounds like what they would have done with it would have been nice. Like, maybe it wouldn't have been something for me. It wouldn't have been what I wanted out of a Star Wars game. But, damn it, it probably would have been good.
Yeah, and I mean, good or bad, almost never say no to more Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I didn't go see Solo in the theater. I'm gonna pick it up on Blu-ray and watch it.
I'll watch it when it hits fucking pirate camps. That's not true. I'm not gonna steal the movie. I'll just watch somebody else with their copy or whatever.
Well, hopefully we'll be in the same physical location at that point, so if one of us buys it, we can just watch it together.
Yeah.
Shit, dude, we've been talking for 2.5 hours. It's the easiest 2.5 hours I think we've had.
Right? Like, and we haven't even touched on fucking Rey's entire training sequence in Octo.
Oh, shit. Like, this needs to be a multiple part series. Like, this is part 1 of, like, 3 or 4 of discussing The Last Jedi. Like, we can still keep going. Like, I don't know how long you want to... I don't know where the cutoff point you want this... want it to be for this stream. I'm thinking if we get to like 3.5 hours, like an ending point around there would probably be where I'd say cut it. Um,
I don't see us like we pretty much just have Luke's ending shebang to like go into in any sort of detail, and then the Octo
well, we
training
could discuss.
sequences. Like those are the only two bits of the movie that we haven't really like given our thoughts on.
Yeah, like I mean, we could talk a bit about Laura Dern's character, Admiral Holdo.
All right.
That scene is fucking awesome. We could discuss Luke more because for some reason people tried to start the hashtag Not My Luke. So we could fucking talk about how those idiots are idiots. I mean, I genuinely think that it's not the Luke that they wanted to see,
Oh,
but
be a spaceman.
I don't remember who the executive producer was for this movie. Is my game frozen?
Is it?
Whatever.
That would explain why you've been stuck
I
on
don't
that
know.
screen for so long, and why you're not in my
Yeah, I'm
party
gonna quit.
anymore.
Whoops. I'm gonna go ahead and quit the game and then go back into it.
Alrighty.
You get to see my home screen, peoples. Whoa, okay, that's a pretty cool background for Battlefront 2. I like it.
Whoa.
Oh, did you just exit out real quick?
No, I'm looking at the stream. Remember?
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot. But yeah, I don't know who the executive producer was for this movie, but he's personal friends with Rian Johnson, and his whole job, like, he's worked with Rian Johnson on Looper, on all of his films. He's just mainly there for quality assurance purposes, to make sure that Rian makes good decisions and to keep him calm should he think he's making a bad decision. And he was interviewed by, the documentary people who were doing the stuff for the bonus disc, and they were talking about, like, so how do you feel about the whole Luke thing? Because we know Mark and Ryan are kind of, debating over it, and he's like, well, I really like the direction that Ryan took Luke, and I think the hardest thing for Mark Hamill is, like, he wanted to come back in, he really was expecting to be able to, be Luke, and you'd be the Luke that he remembered, and the hardest thing that he's going to have to come to terms to in this film is that the reality is that he's not Luke, he's Obi-Wan.
That's fucking beautiful, because that is something that is represented in the movie when he's talking about the hubris and the fall of the Jedi. When he brings up, like, Darth Vader, he's like, the Jedi were incompetent, their legacy is one of failure, and he mentions that it was a Jedi Master who found and trained Darth Vader, and he doesn't call him Obi-Wan, he doesn't call him Ben, he calls him a Jedi Master. So I feel like after learning what the Jedi were really like, Luke, like, lost respect for Obi-Wan, like Obi-Wan lost respect for the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's beautiful. I didn't know that they were talking about that.
Yeah, like, even though it's available on Netflix, and if anybody does have Netflix, I'd recommend, watching it on Netflix, obviously. But even if you do, I'd recommend picking up the Blu-ray, because there's like 5 or 6 hours of bonus features, and they're all worth watching. It's really phenomenal. It really expands what you know about the movie, and like I've been having a love-hate relationship with videos. I haven't been working on any recently, and it's just because I'm realizing that, like, the commentary community and, like, the review community, it's like, this could be in writing form. There's no reason for me to narrate this and put this on YouTube. It's also more work that I don't want to do. But, like, I was going to do a video about why I loved the Last Jedi, and what I was going to talk about was I was basically just everything that I was going to say is said in the bonus features of The Last Jedi. And so what I say to everybody who doesn't like The Last Jedi right now is, like, pick up the Blu-ray, watch the bonus features. I don't think it'll change. If you don't like the movie, I don't think it's going to make you like the movie. And that's not why I'd want you to pick it up. I'd want you to pick it up because it would give you an appreciation for the movie, It gives you a bit of appreciation that you wouldn't otherwise have, because a lot of people think that no thought was put into it or that it was made spitefully, but no, love was poured into this movie. Nothing but love was poured into this movie. and it's always cool to play the extra bonuses. Is always cool to see how they make a movie, but like even if you don't like the movie, I still think you could get more out of those bonus features than you honestly think. It could just give you a better sense of appreciation for how much work went into the movie, and just give you a better idea of where the writers and everybody were coming from when they were making the movie, so that even if you don't like it, you understand it.
I mean, you've definitely done a good job selling it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, hashtag not sponsored, by the way. Would love to be sponsored by Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm, sponsor us. Disney, sponsor us.
Hashtag not spawn, hashtag could spawn. Oh, this
I want to be a
immediately
fighter. I
feels
want to be a TIE
better
fighter.
than flying around in the last game. Oh, good.
Space battles,
Jesus,
bitch!
fuck.
Oh my
I
god.
figured out how to roll my orientation and
Whoa! Oh, I'm spinning! That's a cool trick! What do these do?
This battle isn't over.
Oh.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh, that's the
love
speed boost.
space.
That's the speed boost. Space battles, bitch!
Oh my god, this is Star Destroyer. Holy fuck.
I crashed. I crashed when I said bitch.
Oh, wait, no. Down is actually down. Down should be up. What? Bad. Invert my control sticks.
You know, normally I'd agree with that, but because I'm in space, that doesn't matter.
Another victory for the Empire.
It
Boom, bitch!
exclusively matters because I'm in space.
The sensor on its lower. It will cripple their defenses. We've lost a group of TIE bombers. Protect
Oh,
God.
whoa!
Watch yourself.
There we go. Now I'm
it's a-
flying like I want to fly.
It's an awesome Star Destroyer. This is so fucking sweet.
Oh, it's
This should
so
have been in the
cool.
first game.
Right?
Tail clear.
So is that all you wanted to discuss for this time? Leave the rest for another time and
Yeah.
close
we're gonna
off on
come
the
back
space
to
battle,
it,
or
sure. Like I'm down to come back to it. 'Cause my thoughts and feelings aren't going to change as far as the two major scenes that are left.
yeah. Which is funny because like even though we discussed most of it, the stuff that we have left can fill another like 2-hour.
Oh
podcast.
yeah, we can get in deep. Because like
Yup.
I know we're gonna get into like the importance / unimportance of Rey's lineage or possible lineage, whether or not that's a lie. Like that's more things we can
Yeah,
do
'cause,
with.
like-
And
Yeah, we didn't fucking talk about Rey at all.
'cause, I mean, and this is just consider this a teaser. I'm not gonna get into this. I'm not gonna say anymore. I'm just gonna say what I have with this one statement. Like Kylo Ren didn't bring up Rey's parents at all until Rey herself said that she dove into that dark side pit to search for answers as to who her parents were. So that is very clearly a vulnerability for him to possibly exploit. And he might have. He might have. They may not have been junk traders. They may have been. I don't fucking know. But I don't care. I'll tell you that. And but yeah, we'll definitely be getting into that next time around for it.
Yeah, and that's the mirror scene too,
Yep.
which I can say is one of the coolest things ever because they only filmed Daisy Ridley once for that. They just had to use like 15 cameras from like slightly different angles to be able to do it.
Oh my god, I feel like a fucking grandma because I have to slow down my throttle all the way to feel even slightly comfortable flying around when I'm flying.
Yeah, I just figured out that the left stick controls your speed.
Fall back. The battle is lost.
That's awesome. Space battles rocking this one because they had pseudo space battles in the first one. What was it? The canyon?
Yeah, it was just a dogfight on a couple of maps.
Yeah, and it controlled like ass.
Yeah. But this feels better. It doesn't reset your orientation lock. It's a little too sensitive as far as the rolling goes for me, but I don't care, man. I'm in space. I'm flying around. I'm having a good time.
Woohoo! So do you want to go one more match, or is this where you want to end the cast?
I mean, I'm cool with playing another match, but I feel like if we continue this podcast any longer, then we're gonna get into it again.
Yeah, probably.
And besides, if we don't have enough content for next time, I definitely see us having a lot to say about this game in the second half of our next Last Jedi run.
Yeah, because I don't see us stopping playing this whether we're streaming or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with this game.
All right, so thank you to anybody who stopped by during the stream. And if you were listening to this on any of our archived places where we'll be uploading this afterwards, come on down to twitch.tv/ouropinions. Click that follow button. We'll be, like we said, live Thursday nights, hopefully at 9 p.m., but no promises.
We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, criticisms even, in any comments or anywhere you can throw them. Just remember that, like, we all have different opinions. These just happen to be our opinions, not yours.
One of the things that I'm supposed to be defending just killed me.
Yeah, I just crashed into, like, that thing that you just passed on the right before you got hit by the Corvette. I crashed into that like a dweebus. Y-Wings
All right, I
control
hope
way
everybody's...
different than TIE fighters.
I'm in an X-Wing, baby.
In other news, water is wet.
What? Whoa, what's my R2-D2 button do?
You probably repair yourself
R2D2
because of an astromech droid.
Probably. Hope everybody had a good night. See you next time.
That's all.